You can, if they wrap their tentacles around you, get that condition called, is it anaphalic shock? I could have a relationship with an orangutan without a shadow of a doubt. You can develop albinoism.
This is Talk Sport. We are the two Mikes, and I'm delighted to say it's time to say a very good morning to Mr. Mike, a Porky, a Parry. Very good morning to Mr. Parry.
And a very good morning to you, Mike. And we might have had our differences over the years, you know. I might have had situations in which you and I don't see eye to eye.
Indeed.
But I see eye to eye with you on the shirt thief, OK? This man is the shirt lifter.
The shirt lifter, he is indeed.
And we are going to track down the shirt lifter and get him, because we have video evidence now of the thievery of the shirt lifter. And I can say this to you, punk. We know where you live.
Well, we don't yet know where he lives, but we intend to find out.
We will very, very soon. Don't worry.
Find out because,
don't worry.
as I
Lock
said to
your doors, pal.
As I said to you last night or the other day, it's now been revealed that he's been to another dry cleaners and stolen a £500 jacket.
I know. Was that an hour before he stole your shirt?
No, it was about a week later.
About a week later.
Yeah.
So we think he lives locally then, obviously.
Well, I think he must do.
He must live
I think
locally,
the idea that you would suddenly turn up in a sort of neighbourhood and just go and case the dry cleaners and then go and take the stuff and go and move somewhere else.
That's right.
Seems ridiculous,
and we are getting a former Scotland Yard detective on the show tomorrow to tell us exactly how the search for the shirt lifter is going.
Yes.
Because he's had it now. He's had it. We're going to rip the shirt off your back, pal. And if it's my mate's shirt, if it's MG's shirt, you've got a problem. See, the thing is...
He's picked on the wrong guy.
He's picked on the wrong guy.
That's what he's done.
Picked on the wrong guy. He's picked on the wrong guys. He's picked on the wrong organisation. Also, of course, it sullies the reputation of the dry cleaners that you've used for many years in that part of the world.
Without any problems at all.
I think an established family business, aren't they? Who's are now battling, you know, to maintain the discipline and the reputation they've had for years as a perfectly legitimate and efficient family business.
Exactly.
It's a disgrace.
It
the
is
whole
a disgrace.
thing.
It's an astonishing state of affairs.
Yeah.
But, you know, I don't want to dwell on it too
much.
Well, I hope we do. And
we'll get him.
I'd like to get my shirts back as well.
It's one of those situations...
I'd like to get my dark blue shirt back in time for Liverpool.
Yeah, indeed. Yeah, for our show in
Liverpool. It's part of my stage wear, you know what I mean?
Yeah, well...
Otherwise I have to go and buy another one.
Well, yeah, and
it'll be really hard to find the exact shade of blue that goes with the great shade of grey of my suit.
What we need to say to this guy is that there is no hiding place, OK? As Ronald Reagan once said, you can run, but you can't hide, OK? So you can run anywhere you want, pal, but we're going to get you. You can't hide.
Well, I wonder whether if he's using these things for his own devices, whether he's been to a third cleaners and lifted some trousers.
That's right, yeah, who knows.
So that he could complete his outfit.
I mean, the point is, just to explain the way these things happen, OK, I suppose you have to make sacrifices elsewhere, but you could go off and buy the 7 shirts and replace them, but that would cost you something in excess of £500.
Yeah, it would, yeah.
Now, the point is...
And also, you don't really go and buy 7 shirts in one go. You know?
As I was saying to you earlier, the way you build up a sartorial collection, you build up your wardrobe, is you buy a shirt here, you buy a shirt there, and then you complement that shirt with that suit, and, you know, all this kind of stuff. I mean, it was only last week, wasn't it, that I let you know I bought a shirt from Pink.
That's right.
You know,
didn't you have to take it back, by the way?
No.
You said it was the wrong size.
No, it's the right size.
You said it was the wrong size?
No, it was the right size.
So why did you think it was the wrong size
Because it was in a different sort of measurement.
So when are we going to see this pink shirt?
I think it'll make its debut at the Chelsea-Everton game on November the 5th.
Oh, really?
Yes, I intend to wear a new outfit.
Oh, what, with your date?
Well, no, I'm not getting into personal relationships or anything like that.
You said you were taking somebody's.
I am indeed, yes.
So what sort of shirt is it? Is it a
rather nice table? It's check.
Colour?
It's blue and white check.
Blue and white check.
Yeah, but it's beautiful. I mean, it's quality. Cufflinks. Yeah.
So will you be wearing your Everton cufflinks?
Yes, I probably will.
I used to have a blue and white check shirt, like a gingham.
Yes,
thing,
it's like that. It's like gingham.
Yeah, that was
like
quite
gingham.
trendy about 15 years ago.
It's brillianto.
Yeah, I don't wear it anymore.
Sorry,
I don't wear it anymore.
Why? Because you're too fat?
Well, no, because it's just a shirt that I had 15 years ago when those kinds of shirts were being worn an awful lot.
Oh, really?
Now, not so much.
Oh, really?
Did you get it in the sale?
Where?
In pink?
No.
No?
No.
Because I'm surprised people don't really wear those shirts anymore.
Of course they wear the shirts. They wouldn't be on sale anymore. Listen, I'm just looking at the picture of the shirt lifter.
Yes.
He looks to me like the guy who plays Barlow Jr. in Coronation Street.
A couple of people have also said that he looks a bit like the guy from 50 Shades of Grey. You know who that is, don't you?
No.
The same man who's from The Fall.
Oh, really?
Yeah. The 50 Shades of Grey guy is the villain in The Fall.
Oh, is he?
Yes.
Well, the man in bed in hospital?
Yes.
Oh, is that him?
Yeah.
Oh, blimey. Yeah, the guy who I think is going to be murdered by the nurse.
Yes, exactly.
Yes.
Although we have had a couple of requests from people in Australia saying,
Yeah.
would you mind not telling us about the fall anymore because it hasn't started to air yet.
Yeah.
The episodes, the Series 3.
This guy does honestly look like Peter Barlow.
Well, lots of people said he looks a bit like David Cameron, which clearly is not the case.
Yeah, he does, actually. That was my first instinct, is that David Cameron. David Cameron, Peter Barlow.
Alistair McGowan's name's been
Alistair
mentioned.
McGowan, yeah, I agree with that.
Yeah.
And then the poor lady who's dealing with him has a green tracky top on. It's a tracky, isn't it?
I think it's just a
hoodie type thing.
Yeah, no, I think it's just a jumper, isn't it?
And do you know what? You could even see your shirts in this picture because where the camera's positioned, it looks down onto the counter with the lady who's got her back to us and the thief, the shirt lifter, facing us. But have you noticed? On either side, there are racks and racks of shirts. Can you identify your shirts on that rack?
I can because what
So
you
which
can
one
see,
is it?
Well, what you can see basically is on the if you look to her right, to his left, that first row of shirts. When you see the actual CCTV footage, I haven't got the whole video to send out, but I might do.
Yes.
I might get that.
Yes.
He comes behind the counter and points towards the shirts which are on the right of the picture. Right?
Yes.
He then goes through that entire rack.
Right.
And I saw this woman this morning, and she said, "Look, I feel really terrible." She said,
So she should. Like security.
I really don't know. I didn't really know what to do because once he was behind the counter, he was quite a big man, and she was probably a bit intimidated.
Yeah.
He goes through the bottom rack. He then goes through the top rack. He then goes through the bottom rack of the shirts so that you can see immediately at the bottom of the picture, and then he reaches up. And goes through the top rack, which is the ones you can see, and he takes mine from there. That's where mine were. But more or less, I would say underneath the 16.
Okay,
So that's where my shirts were.
Okay.
But he went through every single collection of shirts before he got to those.
That's great. Well, we're going to get him. This particular picture which you put out has been retweeted 90 times already.
Has it? Brilliant.
Yeah. So I feel very, very confident that our millions of listeners will assist us in finding the shirt lifter and bringing him to justice.
Yes,
okay?
I'm sure that will happen. And I'm grateful for your cooperation.
No, we must stick together on things
perhaps your
like
mate Jeremy Vine will get involved as well.
Well, Jeremy Vine does a show called Crime Watch, doesn't he?
Yes, he does.
Yeah, OK. I'll be on to Jeremy tomorrow first thing and ask him if he can get involved in that as well.
Yeah.
Because if there's one thing I cannot stand, it's punk-like, filthy, despicable, shirt-lifting thieves like this. I won't stand for it.
No.
I won't stand for it.
Well, there's nothing worse, really, than somebody just taking something which is yours. You know,
Exactly.
we talked about
I
this
totally
the other
agree.
night, in Lostography, in fact, for things that we'd lost and things that we'd had stolen. And you're quite right to say that I've had quite a few things stolen in my life.
Yes.
And, it's not something that you dwell on, it's not something, but it would be nice to have been able to keep all those things and have them all.
I totally agree.
It's a bit upsetting. Anyway, should we talk about the football?
They're the worst of the worst. Yeah, we'll talk about the football. By the way, we're talking to our correspondent in China tonight.
We are indeed, yes.
What's your favourite song with the word China in it?
China Girl, probably.
Yeah, that's David Bowie.
It is indeed.
Mine would be China on Your Mind by T'Pau.
Oh, yes, I remember that one.
Or when I was a kid, I remember this so well.
China Crisis was an album name, I think, wasn't it?
I don't know about that. We'll talk about the football in a second. When I was a child, in our house, we had a gramophone. Did you have a gramophone in your house?
We did when I was very young,
Yeah,
yes.
exactly. And it was in a big sort of polished wood cabinet.
Yeah, it was.
And you lifted up the lid, and there was a turntable there.
And funnily enough, we had it. I think it was a G-plan one, and it had these two legs which were shaped like V's.
That's right. Yeah,
upside down V's.
Yeah.
But in order to be trendy,
Yes.
When my sister got her own room,
Yes.
she took the legs off and put it on the floor.
Oh, I see. Okay. Well, we
Didn't make it sound any better.
No, ours was a bit more traditional. Ours was like polished wood. You know what I mean?
Yeah, this was wood as well.
But this was a cabinet. It wasn't have legs. It just stood on the carpet, so to speak. But I think my old fella, he had a terrible taste in music. But one of his favourite songs.
Like you then.
No, mine was very well developed at that age.
I see.
He used to put this record on. Well, first of all, he used to love, you won't believe it, his favourite record was Ken Dodd singing "Tears for Souvenirs was all she left me," which was horrendous.
Yeah, it was awful. Anything by Ken Dodd was pretty awful.
And then some bloke who sang about Abilene. Have you ever heard that?
Yeah, I think so.
Abilene.
Yeah.
Abilene.
That was one of those country and western old
Prettiest
stars, wasn't
town
it?
I ever seen.
Yeah.
But the one that really used to drive me mad was this combo group who used to sing, "I'm gonna get you, on a
We've
slow
now
boat
3
to
songs.
China.
Yeah.
yeah.
I think Frank
All
Sinatra
by
sang that. We've now sung 3 songs.
and
We've only
alone.
been going for 15 minutes. We've sung 3 songs.
It's just to illustrate how poor they are.
Now, I'm surprised you hadn't heard of China Crisis. I'll tell you why.
Yes.
It wasn't an album, it was a band, actually. It was from
there you
Liverpool. It was from Kirby.
Yeah. Kirby.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And they were around about the same time as Echo and the Bunnymen. Do you remember them?
Oh, yeah, Echo and the Bunnymen. Remember them? They made some good songs.
They made some very good
I was
songs.
going to say Echo Beach, but they didn't, did they?
No, they didn't do Echo Beach.
No,
that was Martha and the Muffins.
Oh, was it?
Yeah.
No, I didn't know that. That's incredible.
Well, you can learn an awful lot from the old
Great
musical
song, that.
knowledge that I have. Echo Beach.
On Echo Beach. Da, 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 da. Yeah, that's right, yeah.
Yeah.
Right, okay, well,
I've got
that's
a
great.
text from Ian Danta, who says, I think Porky means China in your hand, not China on my mind.
Oh, is it? China in your hand?
Yeah.
China
All right, don't sing
in
anymore.
your hand.
For God's sake.
I used to love the lead singer.
You've seen the time.
Tapow.
Yeah.
It's Carol Decker.
Was it?
Yes.
Is she related to Desmond Decker?
No, she definitely wasn't. Desmond Decker sung The Israelites.
The Israelites. Oh, my ears are alight, as that famous Maxwell ad used to say. Anyway, this is Talk Sport. We will be talking football coming up next.
Indeed.
It's a wonderful night, you gotta take it from me. It's a wonderful night, come on and break it on down. It's a wonderful night, you gotta shake it for me. It's a wonderful night, come on and break it on down. It's a wonderful night, everybody can
This is
see.
Talk Sport. We are the two mics. Quite a lot of people correcting your China in my hand thing. Here's
Yes.
one from Scott's Graham in Bath, who
Oh,
says,
yes.
I completely empathise with MG. I had my motorbike stolen last year,
Yeah.
woke up early morning, and it had disappeared. It was a gut-wrenching feeling. There is nothing worse, I must say. Absolutely nothing worse.
What's the name of that chap with his motorbike?
His name is Graham.
Of course, Graham had a far worse experience. I had my scooter stolen, my motor scooter, and the guy deliberately then...
You had a motor scooter.
I did, yeah.
I thought a guy turned up to take you somewhere on a stolen motor scooter.
No, that was when I was a kid. That was
Oh,
when
I
I was
see.
16 or 17.
Oh,
But
right.
I bought a motor scooter, and I used to
you?
park it behind my Jag
Oh,
in
yeah,
my
is
underground
that not
car
the
park.
one you gave to somebody to
Well, I lent
to look
it.
after?
I lent it to some thick-headed production assistant at Talk Sport who went off to do some job on it, you know, like go and contact somebody or find somebody or find
Yeah.
something or something. Lent him the helmet.
I can't imagine you on a scooter.
No, well, it was great, actually. I used to whiz up and down the old A3 there. But lent him the helmet as well.
You
So
went on the A3 in it.
yeah, I did, yeah.
Sounds dangerous.
Yeah, it did.
Don't they have a top speed of about 50 or something?
In parts of it, yeah.
No, I mean, I'm
you
talking
mean
about
the
the
scooter?
scooter.
The scooter.
Not
Oh,
the
yeah.
A3.
No, the scooter never went more than 40 miles an hour.
Well, you shouldn't be going on a big dual carriageway with it.
Well, it was like Sunday morning and all that kind of stuff.
Well, it doesn't matter.
Anyway, point of my story is, so I lent the guy the scooter and the helmet, and I said, "Yeah, go off and sort out this business." He was so poor, this guy. He didn't have like enough money for taxis or anything. You know what I mean? He lived in a squat in Battersea Park.
Well,
you know.
no wonder you got the scooter stolen.
Yeah,
then.
well, this is the very point. So I say, anyway, we'd done some job away, and we were coming back in like a hired 4x4 or something, and the guy dropped us off at my place, and I said, all right, we'll pick up my scooter, take it home with you, and then you can use that tomorrow to go about the work that we needed doing for the next job we were doing, you know?
Right.
So, anyway...
Were you running some kind of business on the side with this
No,
guy?
no. It was. You know, he had to go and find something for the next job, a bit of cable or whatever it was. He had to get around. You know, I can't remember. But anyway, at midday next day, I get a call. You know, me, is it you? I said, yeah, it's me. This guy was Irish, fellow.
Irish.
You know, he said, you're the scooter. I said, yeah. Okay. Well, what's wrong with it? Is it broken down? No. Well, what's wrong with it? He said, well, nothing's wrong with it, but it's been stolen. And I said, well, and anyway...
Did you ever smell a rat on this? Did you think that he was somehow in cahoots with somebody else?
Hang on, he left it outside the squat overnight.
Yeah.
When he got up the next morning, it was gone.
Had he not padlocked it up?
No. He
Oh,
hadn't.
well, that's ridiculous. Isn't it?
And not only not locked it up, the idiot person had left the helmet on the scooter. I mean, it was almost like inviting somebody to come and steal it. Oh, and by the way, so you don't damage yourself when you're stealing the scooter, wear this helmet.
Yeah.
I mean, anyway, what happened then was, and I'm sure I've told you this story,
I think
for
you
the next
have.
12 months... The guy who stole it used nothing but bus lanes around London. And
I
also,
think you have told me this.
I got dozens of pictures of the bloke's back
Right.
speeding along in bus lanes.
Did you have to pay them?
Yeah, well, I kept contesting them, saying it's not me.
Right.
And they kept saying it
Well,
is
had you
you.
reported it stolen?
Well, I kind of.
hadn't, had you?
I'd waited about a week or something, thinking, this guy must be one of his mates might have stolen it or something. Go and find it and get it back for me. He never did. So before I reported it stolen, I started getting all these pictures of.
Aren't they allowed to use bus lanes anyway?
No,
scooters?
no, they're definitely not.
Really?
Definitely not. And so I said, but it's not me. You can tell it's not me. So we can't tell it's not anybody without a helmet. This person's got a helmet on. Anyway, eventually, it was quite interesting actually. Eventually, I wrote, really angry letters saying, it's not me. It was stolen. Where was it stolen? I said it was stolen in Battersea. You don't live in Battersea.
Right.
No, I lent it to this moron. Who left it outside his squat and all that. Well,
It all starts to get very complicated.
yeah, we need a statement from him and all that. Anyway, it all got to such a peak where
Did
I
you
was.
never claim insurance on it or anything?
No, I didn't actually.
Why not? I mean, if somebody
don't know.
steals something,
I don't know.
surely you claim it on insurance.
Do you know? I don't know why I didn't claim the insurance. I couldn't prove it had been stolen in the end.
Chaotic life you had. At
Well,
various
it was.
points.
It was with this. And do you know what? I never ever found out how to put fuel in it because you had to put this two-stroke type stuff in.
Yeah,
You know what I mean?
right.
So whenever I went into a garage, I used to go and pay the bloke behind the glass £10 to fill it up. Because I didn't know you could put the two-stroke
can't
and the
see you
petrol
in
at the
it
same
at all.
time. Anyway, the point of the story is that one Sunday afternoon, when I was having a sort of an at-home, the Sunday roast and loads of firewater.
Vino Veritas.
Yeah.
What, at your place?
At my place, yeah. There was a knock on the door. So I went to the door and I looked through the spy hole. I have a spy hole in my door to make sure
Was
that...
this in Stockbroker Belt?
It's in Stockbroker
So you've
Belt,
got the
yeah.
protective,
Yes.
wrought iron gate.
That's
as well.
right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
In case it's somebody you don't want to see.
Well, I've got a spy hole as well, obviously, so.
Do you creep up to the spy hole?
Oh, yes, absolutely.
So they can't know whether you're actually there. Or
Yeah, absolutely, yeah. So they can't hear the floorboards going on the other side of the door
Yeah.
and all that, spy and see who it is. And, and it was two policemen in full uniform on a Sunday afternoon. So I thought, how unusual.
Yeah.
So I sort of opened the door,
Right.
I said, but I was incredibly intoxicated.
Right.
This is the problem. yeah, honestly.
Was anybody else there?
Oh, yeah, there were about 3 or 4 people there.
okay.
And I said, oh, hello. And I said, yeah, Mr. Parry. I said, yeah. He said, we've come about your scooter. I said, oh, have you found it? Because I thought they were coming to help me rescue the scooter. In fact, they were coming to find out if I'd just lied about everything.
Well, because to be honest, if it had been me, I'd have said, this guy doesn't sound genuine at all.
Exactly.
He's just making up a story for
but
the
why
insurance.
would they do that on a Sunday afternoon? Anyway, after talking to them on the doorstep for about 3 minutes, they literally concluded that I was in no fit state to be interviewed. It's just amazing.
So did they say, we'll come back another time?
Exactly.
And
But
did they?
No, they never did.
They never did.
And the letters stopped coming through about the fines. I don't know
Maybe
whether
they just concluded that you were a mad old soak.
I don't know.
There's no point in trying to get any sense out of
I
you.
don't know, but,
and you clearly had enough money to be able to
yeah.
withstand the loss of the scooter.
Well, it was amazing. It was terrible.
Yeah.
And I think I tried to claim it on the insurance, but they no.
Lucky you weren't done for fraud.
Yeah, they said you've got to prove it was stolen,
Yeah.
and the police wouldn't issue a letter saying it had been stolen because they had no evidence of it being.
So they never found it.
No, it just disappeared. It'll be in somebody's. What do they do with them? They dump them these days.
Well,
don't
they sometimes sell them off at auction.
crush them and all that kind
Well,
of
no,
stuff.
well they can crush them, but sometimes if they recover them, but they don't know who the owner is,
Yes.
they'll sell them off at auction. But a lot of
Maybe.
people get cars that way.
It's a lot of years ago. Anyway,
certainly
we
right.
should be talking about football,
We
you
should
see,
be,
because
we should be. But first
what
of
an
all-
exciting night it
Well,
was for Leicester.
Great night for Leicester.
Yeah.
Brian says this, surely Porky has reached his limit of songs he's allowed to sing in one show.
Yeah,
Please,
right.
MG, stop him.
Well, you've got to have an open mind about this, because if a particular situation merits the deliverance of a song, then I just get on with it. There's no fix and fast rule or anything like that.
Here's one from Rich. He says, the thought of Parry and Brendan Rodgers on a scooter, the mind boggles.
Brendan Rodgers. Oh,
Yeah, because the guy sounded like Brendan Rodgers.
oh no! He was from Southern Ireland. He was more of a David O'Leary type.
No,
you
was
know
he?
what I
Right.
mean? Hey.
Okay. Anyway, so Leicester, right?
Yeah.
A lot of people are asking a lot of questions about Leicester.
Yes.
And saying, why are they doing what they're doing and playing so well in the Champions League and playing so
Yeah.
badly in the Premier League?
Yeah.
I don't think it matters, does it, at this point?
No, it doesn't matter at all.
I mean, they are going to be... I heard a Leicester City fan on the Sports Bar saying he believes this is the first English team that have won their first 3 matches in the Champions League. I don't know if that's true.
no, it is absolutely
But
true.
it may well be.
No, I looked at the stats tonight. It is absolutely true. Not only is it absolutely true, I think in the whole of the history of the competition, only 9 clubs have ever got a maximum return of 9 points
Yeah.
from the first 3 games playing
And
in
is this their
the
first 3
Champions
games
League.
ever? Is that what they're saying?
Yeah,
The
yes,
first
of course
3
it
games
is, because
ever? Right.
Leicester have never been in the Champions
Yes.
League before. So
No, I know it's their first 3 games
Yeah.
ever, but is that what the stat is about?
that's what the stat is about.
Because
Yeah.
there will have been other teams that have won 3 games in the
No,
tournament.
the first time a club's come in. So, for instance, supposing it was an up-and-coming club in somewhere like France, like Marseille or Monaco,
okay.
who suddenly went from being like a provincial club to a multi-million super club.
Right.
It's clubs like that. They win their first 3 games in the Champions League. It's only about
and
9 times.
And more or less nailed on now to qualify for the knockout stages.
Absolutely,
which
of course
is a
so.
tremendous effort.
Yeah.
Absolutely tremendous.
I didn't realise, actually, until I examined the details, that Ranieri is quite deliberately dropping some of his best players ahead of in the Premier League games, ahead of these Champions League games. So I have to admire his tactics.
Yeah, well, he's deliberately doing it, and I often wonder in these sort of cases whether he's being asked to do that as well by the owners. Yeah. The owners have maybe told him,
Could well be.
We want you to concentrate on the Champions League. Because for us,
it's a great public profile, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, because they're probably fairly certain they can't win the league 2 years in a row. However, if they were to get into the final stages of the Champions League, that is quite a feather in their cap.
I totally agree.
And commercially around the world, is a tremendous place to be.
I agree.
I would guess. So what about Tottenham? I think it's a pretty good result actually for them as well.
I think it's a good, but that's
disappointing they didn't get the 3 points. But
they've only got 4 out of 9 now, haven't they? Because they lost the first one, then they've drawn tonight. They had a victory in between. Nevertheless, I would expect Tottenham to get through without too many problems, wouldn't you?
Yes, I would think so, but, it's not a nailed-on thing either.
It's not nailed on, and they've got to crack this thing about whether Wembley is a hoodoo for them, haven't they?
A hoodoo, exactly right. We're going to talk to Michael Bridges, who's a big Spurs fan, former Sunderland player, of course, and former Leeds player.
Yes.
We might talk to him a bit about the Chinese possible takeover of Sunderland as well.
Well, I totally agree.
And also some of your comments about Sunderland and why people don't want to live there.
Yeah.
Which are a bit harsh, I thought.
Wonderful, wonderful.
That's another song.
Copenhagen.
That's 4 songs.
Yeah, but that's...
or 5 songs in the space of the first half hour.
Copenhagen is very relevant to what Leicester did tonight.
The relevance. Yes, well, I suppose it is. This is Talk Sport. Loads more coming up.
People are strange when you're a stranger. Faces look ugly when you're alone. Women seem wicked when you're unwanted. Streets are uneven when you're down, when you're strange. Faces come out of the rain.
This is Talk Sport. We are the two mics. Ask Porky is coming up a little bit later on. We do have to figure out what the quiz is going to be, because I did suggest to you yesterday we could do one on the moon. But I do think we have already done one on the moon. And I know we already had the jokes yesterday. People going, if you're going to do one on the moon, you better set off now. No, I don't mean we're going to be on the moon while we do it. What I mean is, because Porky was waxing lyrical last weekend about how you'd seen a lovely moon in the sky.
Absolutely. Beautiful moon,
and it was going to be very, very close to Earth. Anyway, so have a think about what quiz subject you might wish to embark upon.
Okay, yes.
And in the meantime, I want to draw your attention to a piece in one of the papers tomorrow morning, or this morning, I suppose, about how Manchester City's players are all dressing like Pep Guardiola.
Well, do you know?
Have you seen this?
Well, I saw some pictures today, and I thought, hang on, is this a new outfit? Because they all seem to be wearing the same sort of stuff.
Well, they are. I mean, you know how you've criticised him in
jacket?
the past by saying he looks a bit like the man from sort of Banana Republic.
That's
or something
right,
like that.
Yeah.
Which I think he rather suits, because he's slim, he's a good-looking guy. And for most of these footballers, I think they look all right. I mean, looks a lot better than, what you can imagine would be the worst outfit, which I suppose would be the white Liverpool suit, wouldn't it?
Yes, I suppose
which
so.
Everyone remembers. Yeah. I mean, I think they all look rather cool.
Well, I'm not sure. I mean...
Skinny jeans. I mean, we could never wear this stuff.
No. But, I mean, to explain to our millions of listeners, right, they've got white trainers.
Yeah, £305.
Dark, skinny jeans.
Yeah, £370.
A bomber jacket.
£670.
A white shirt.
That's £170.
And they've all got the same tie on.
Yeah, and some have got a grey pullover as well, £325.
Yeah, but
well, it's a Manchester City tie, isn't it? It's like a skinny tie.
It is, yeah.
But I mean, that's like the sort of ties I used to wear in the late 70s.
Yeah, well, I totally agree. But I mean, the thing is, it's a uniform dress.
Yeah.
So this is a bit like the equivalent of seeing Manchester United players or Celtic players wearing the club blazer with the crest on the blazer.
I rather like this,
except this is really ultra-modern.
Well, I like it. It's apparently £1,800 each is the new uniform, and it is a new uniform, and it comes from something called D Squared 2, founded by the twin brothers Dean and Dan Caton.
Oh, yeah.
Well,
I'll tell you what, give them an endorsement. That's made their business, hasn't it?
Absolutely right.
Yeah,
and then they've got a really good picture of Malcolm Allison flying off for a trip to Turin to talk to Juventus about becoming their new manager, wearing what looks like white shoes and a rather sort of trendy-looking suit.
And what year was that?
I would imagine that would be about 1970, wouldn't it? Looks like
yes, I would say it would be. Probably a bit earlier.
He looks like an extra from the Sweeney.
Probably a bit earlier. The City's heyday was 67, 68, 69. They won, as I recall, they won the league title. in the same year, I think, that United won the European Cup.
Uh-huh.
So that was 68. Then I think they won the FA Cup in 69. And did they win the Cup?
Well, so when would have Juventus offered him a job then?
That would be the late 60s.
Yeah.
Very late 60s.
Well, I said 1970. I think that's quite a good
Last time
guess.
I saw Malcolm Allison, because he's dead now, of course, I was working in Leeds.
Uh-huh.
And I was staying at the Marriott Hotel.
Right.
And I went down to the bar and we had a couple of drinks. And then we decided to go to...
was this when you were with the Press Association?
Yes, it was, yes.
Yeah,
yes.
'cause they had a big hub in Leeds.
That's right.
didn't they?
Well, our sports hub was based in Leeds. And we decided to go to Yates's Wine Lodge, which was down the road.
Yeah.
And we went into Yates's
I
Wine
don't think
Lodge.
I've ever been in a Yates's Wine Lodge.
I've been into loads of them.
Have you?
Yeah, good places. And there was a chap literally standing at the end of the bar looking very dishevelled and very old and crumpled and bent over. And it's Malcolm Allison.
Oh, yeah.
And he, by that time, lived in a cottage somewhere in Yorkshire, and his mate had brought him into Leeds, for the night, but then he'd lost his mate. And...
Was he a bit disoriented?
Oh, he's talking absolute garbage.
Right.
I mean, it was,
He must have got on well then.
yeah, absolutely, yeah. But it's pretty close to the end of his life. But I don't like this. I don't like this uniform suit at all. I think.
Really? Why not?
Well, because
I think it looks very trendy.
Pep Guardiola, who has his own views on how you should dress and how people should dress, is imposing these views now on his players.
Well, hang on. He's no
and I
different.
think it's a disgrace.
Well, he's no different from any other manager who's previously imposed travelling clothing on their players because they all travel in the same uniform, don't they?
No, what I'm saying is...
I remember going to see Manchester United arriving in wherever they were flying off to play Champions League games.
Yes.
And they'd wear Manchester United blazers, Manchester United ties. Looked very stuffy. This doesn't look stuffy.
No.
I like this.
No, but what I'm saying is, when you see clubs like... I remember seeing the Celtic team once just now. I've seen Manchester United...
yeah, but the blazer look has got to go.
Yeah, but what I'm saying is, mate, what you've not grasped is this point. That the suit or the blazer with the club crest on
I don't like that look.
has been going on for 50 years.
Yeah, well, that's why it has to change.
Hang on, that's club policy.
Yeah, but
that's club policy.
Well, not anymore.
Hang on. Please let me make my point because you've not grasped it.
Well, I haven't, no.
That is established club policy which has moved through the generations. What Pep Guardiola done, which is completely different, is he said, look, I'm going to wear a trendy outfit. That's my choice. That's my personal fashion statement. And all the players are going to wear the same. So that is completely different.
No, you don't. Well,
it is completely
you don't
different.
know that. It may well be that he was part of the conversation which made the change happen. But actually, I don't think there's anything wrong with making yourselves look as though you're a slightly more modern organisation than a stuffy blazer-wearing... No, a stuffy blazer-wearing load of old cobblers.
I think they look foolish.
No, I think they look very nice.
I think they look like a bunch of young fellas out on a stag do.
Well, no, they're wearing a Manchester City club tie. Right,
you can't tell it's a Manchester City club tie. It's so tiny.
You can tell it's got a crest on it.
It's got some sort of a crest on it. You can't tell it's Manchester City, except for here, one of the players here, young Sterling. He hasn't even got the tie on.
Well, he hasn't got the tie on while that picture's been taken, but I'm sure he'll have it on. I think it's a welcome change.
No,
I really
think it's terrible.
I mean, one of the things that's wrong with English football is this stuffy image that it's got.
Yeah.
Largely represented by the FA, who, as we now know, are sort of unfit for purpose, are completely and utterly useless at what they do. So it's time the whole game got a bit of a shake-up, but it's kind of ridiculous to expect young men who are making in excess of 10 or 15 million pounds a year to dress in clothes that they would never, ever wear, whereas these clothes they would wear.
Well, I'll tell you something. If TalkSport came to me and said, right, we're going off to cover a big story overseas, right? White trainers, dark skinny jeans...
Yeah.
White shirt
you'd look ridiculous.
Hang on, and grey bomber jacket.
Yeah.
I'd refuse to wear all that.
Well, what, you'd rather wear the Velcro shoes, the purple trousers, the terrible shirt, and a jacket that's too big for you?
No, I don't wear anything like that. I wear clothes appropriate to my status.
Your shirt, actually, tonight is an unusual one.
And age. Is it?
Yeah.
Well, it's rather nice, though, isn't it?
It's not for me, no, but it's not blue, for a start. And it's stripy, but it's an unusual colour for you.
No, normally, it's grey.
Yeah, but normally you wear a darker shirt than that.
Well, it's grey.
It's the lightest shirt I've ever seen you wear.
It's grey with a white stripe.
Yeah.
It's got button-down collars.
Has it?
And it is very, very fashionable.
Button-down collars?
Yes, yeah.
It's also got a breast pocket, I noticed.
Yeah, a breast pocket to put my phone in. I will not wear...
I thought you said you'd stop doing that.
No. I've stopped buying shirts without breast pockets because don't fashion designers realise that the one requirement of the man about town today is his mobile phone.
The man about town?
Yeah, that's me. And you've got to have somewhere to put your phone at all times.
As you will notice, does not have a breast pocket.
No, it doesn't. No, because you don't organise yourself properly.
Well, no, because my phone is an iPhone 6 Plus.
Yes.
Right, so it wouldn't go into my breast pocket. It's too big.
No, I don't agree.
Well, it doesn't matter whether you agree. It's a fact.
Well, give it to me, and I'll try and put it in my breast
It will look
pocket.
ridiculous.
Right, here we
It
go.
will stick out.
It won't.
Yeah, it will.
Look, it goes in perfectly well.
No, it sticks out.
My
A third of your phone's showing.
my Samsung sticks out because
No, but not as much.
Because it's I'm sorry, but it fits perfectly well.
No, it doesn't.
You say I'm
lean
sorry.
over, if you bend over to pick something up, it'll fall out.
Yeah, but if I was bending over to tie my shoelaces, I'd take it out and make sure it didn't fall
No,
out,
that's,
wouldn't I?
that's how you have accidents.
You irritate me enormously. We go places and you carry this stupid little bag around with you, which is something that
Because I carry my iPad in it.
looks like your son might put his gym shoes in or something like
why
that.
do you object to what I carry around with?
And you keep your
with me?
iPad in it because it's a scruffy.
It's a Talk Sport bag, actually.
It is, but it's about 10 years old. It's got holes in it.
It hasn't got holes in it.
It does not befit the image of this organisation.
And why don't you describe the little bag that you carry around?
That's my shoulder bag.
Yeah, why don't we describe it?
Well, it's trendy
How is it trendy?
because it's
What does
cool.
it say on it?
It's got some advert on the front.
I'm going to take a picture of it and put it out.
Yeah, sure.
Because
Sure.
then people will know where you keep your extra 500 quid that you carry around as well.
No, don't be ridiculous. No.
No, but it's got some ridiculous, like, Old Navy thing or something going on, isn't it? Is it St. David something or other?
No. It's just trendy to have an advert
It's
on the
not-
front.
It's not trendy, though.
I am
So you're
trendy.
not trendy.
I am.
And neither am I. There's no point in trying to pretend that you are.
No.
Therefore, your description of what these guys are wearing
Yeah.
and what you think of it is
Yes.
largely irrelevant.
No,
because we are not fashion icons. We
I
are not
think-
young men in our early 20s who look very good in skinny jeans, white trainers, and a rather slim bomber jacket.
I do honestly think they look a bit ridiculous. I mean, to all be walking around like that, they look as ridiculous as the Liverpool team did in their white suits at Wembley.
Oh,
honestly.
I don't agree.
Oh, I
definitely
think they
don't
do.
agree.
I think they do.
And I think they now look like a forward-looking organisation. They now look as if they mean business. They look very, very elegant. And actually, I think it's a great move for Pep Guardiola to make his mark on the team.
I'm going to take...
and say not only does the team now play differently, they actually look different.
I'm going to take a picture of them and put it out and ask the audience if they agree with me that they look.
I think most people will agree with me
They look
that
silly.
actually they look rather good.
I think they look silly.
Okay.
Take this picture now anyway. So I'm going to put that out. Okay.
Yeah. All right then.
This is the sort of thing I do. I ask for the the audience of the people.
Absolutely. Well, it's good to get a judgment on these things. Anyway, we'll be talking coming up very shortly to Michael Bridges, former Leeds and Sunderland player, big Tottenham fan as well. We'll get from him what he thinks of Tottenham's season so far, whether they can, in fact, get themselves far enough into the Champions League and up the league to have a better year than they did last year.
Indeed.
This is TalkSport. I've just taken a picture of you with your man bag or saddle bag or whatever it's going to be called. I should tweet that out and see whether anybody actually thinks it's a trendy-looking bag. I suspect they won't. It has a moniker on it, premium label Old Stone, established 1974.
Okay.
So you're actually older than this company that was established in 1974, which
well,
can't be a good thing.
Well, I'm not sure about it, but anyway, I think people can. I like the judgment of the court of the people.
Okay,
we'll
all
see
right.
what they've got to say.
Well, I will tweet out the picture and we'll see what they have to say about
Good
it.
idea.
But right now we're going to talk to Michael Bridges, former Leeds and Sunderland player, of course. Big Spurs fan as well. He's down under these days. He was watching the game in the Champions League this week. It's going to be very exciting for him. Michael, a very good morning to you. Welcome to the show.
Good morning, guys, or good afternoon from Australia.
Yes, thank you
Indeed.
very much indeed for joining us. Now,
Indeed.
I didn't actually know you were a massive Spurs fan until I was told by our massive Spurs fan producer. But what did you think of them last night?
Oh, mixed emotion. Excuse me, mixed emotions. First off, I thought Spurs dominated the game, had the better of the chances, and obviously once the second half turned up, and the opposition changed their tactics, it was just relentless. Do you know what I mean?
Lloris was brilliant.
Tottenham were very lucky they had Lloris in between the nets to save him on several occasions. So it was a bit of a. I mean, you come away from that thinking it's a good draw away from home, but when you consider the first half and how they were completely outplayed second half, it doesn't fare well. But then the other game finished in a draw, I do believe.
What, Leicester game?
No, the Monaco and the.
Oh, the other game. Oh, sorry, the other game in the group. Yes, it did. So it could have been. It could have been worse.
Still, it could have been worse. Yeah, they got the elite equaliser there, so that it could have been a lot worse. But yes, Spurs not looking as strong as they were, and I was just saying about Janssen as well. Playing up front on his own as a lone striker doesn't seem to be working. I think it would have worked a lot better with Harry Kane. He's out injured, so I do prefer it when Song's up front, because Janssen hasn't really hit the ground running yet. And every time I look at him, I think he has great touches, but just not the end product at the moment.
Thing is, Michael, Spurs are lucky. They're in a weak group, and they had to adjust to playing at Wembley, and that cost them 3 points, right? They've only got 4 points out of 9, but they're just 1 point behind the leaders of the group, Monaco, because they've only won once as well. So they're lucky to be in a weak group. They've got Leverkusen and Moscow, who are struggling below them. They'll probably get through.
Well, that's the saving grace, really. I mean, Leverkusen, when you think what they've done last night, what I like about Pochettino, he will go away and he'll analyse the game and work at it and see where they went wrong tactically when they got dominated in the midfield second half. So they've got a chance to redeem themselves, obviously, at Wembley and get the chance over on them to see where they went wrong. So that is fitting. But the league suggests at the moment that, they're in a weak group, and because of the results, they've survived and got a great chance of going through.
Yeah, they've got a great chance.
I mean, the big question, I suppose, that everyone's asking is
yeah.
I mean, yes, Harry Kane's out injured, but there will be injuries through the course of the year. Can Tottenham actually continue to be challenging at the top of the Premier League and get far enough into the Champions League to feel as though they're kind of making progress?
Well, when I was looking at the signings early on the season with Wanyama and Janssen, you're expecting, if you've gone into the Champions League, you're expecting more numbers. And then Sissoko came in late for me, which was a bit of, not a panic buy as such, but a very, very strange price tag to come in for. And I've played in the Champions League with Leeds United. We struggled with numbers. We didn't have enough numbers on deck as it went further on in the Premier League season, the Champions League. We couldn't contend with both. So I think Tottenham, if they can manage that and keep the players fit and ready, then they've got a great chance. But the squad depth isn't as big as other teams in the Champions League and the Premiership. Yeah. So it may start to show towards the end with the younger lads.
Well, it does. And they started to look a bit tired, didn't they? I mean, they start to look a bit tired towards the end of the game. I mean, as you say, the second half was completely different kettle of fish, but they were clearly kind of knackered.
Yeah, well, that's what happens when you're chasing the ball. And I think Leverkusen, when they changed it up at half-time with the extra midfielder, just totally took control. And like when you're chasing the ball like a dog, you are going to tire. And that's one thing they're going to struggle with if it continues on in the Champions League like that.
That's right. Now, Michael, as a stalwart of Sunderland, there are reports in this country that Sunderland may about to be taken over, or certainly there's a good deal of interest from a Chinese group of businessmen who want to acquire the club. Will that really turn round the fortunes of Sunderland, or are Sunderland located so difficultly, geographically, that they're never going to be able to break out of that sort of big club but, small image type problem?
I think that's always a thing for the North East clubs. The club in the North East that broke the mould originally was Middlesbrough, when they got Juninho, Emerson, Ravanelli up into them regions and really attracted big names. And then obviously Newcastle United started doing that under Kevin Keegan when it was filled with superstars. Now, since then, Sunderland have really... We had a really good run with Kevin Phillips, Niall Quinn.
Yes, that's right.
Peter Reid, the manager. It wasn't big-name players. It was a group of players that came together and performed at a high level and continued that success. So that's what's happened with Sunderland. So I believe this investment could be huge. I'm willing... I know Michael Gray has talked a lot about Short and how they haven't invested properly, and there's been decisions made from people that aren't really football people. And it's annoyed a lot of ex-players and a lot of people that are passionate in the region. So I'm happy that if they're in talks and there's the possibility of it happening, I'm all for it.
Yeah. What did you make of Leicester's performance last night and the fact that they've won their first 3 games? I mean, we've got a couple of Twitterers here saying, actually, their group's even easier than Spurs.
I think it's fantastic. 3 wins out of 3. And I don't know where Ranieri's got his sights this season, because Mahrez and Slimani, didn't play in the league game during the week. Obviously, it's almost like they're saving them players for the Champions League, and they're performing. So is the Champions League bigger than the Premier League? They did it last season, the Premier League. But I just don't know where he's lying at the moment.
Right. Well, I was saying earlier, Michael, that it might be that the owners have said, it's a bigger profile around the world to do better in the Champions League second year on, if you like, and maybe that's why they wanted to do it.
Quite agree. I think that's where they've got their sights this season, and that's where they're they're aiming towards. And 3 wins out of 3 in the first attempt. I think it's absolutely superb, and it's great for British football.
Sure. Mm-hmm. And as far as your situation is, you're still playing down there, Michael. How's that going?
No, I'm not playing anymore.
Oh, aren't you?
So I'm doing a lot of coaching with youngsters over here, the development phase, and being recently involved with a team called the Newcastle Jets, who I played for. So just doing a bit of coaching there, and a lot of football analysis on the Premier League and Champions League football for a couple of networks in Australia. So really enjoying it.
Brilliant. Good to hear that you're keeping yourself busy, Michael. And
the waistline's getting bigger, lads.
Yeah, but you're another great ambassador for the game from this country.
Absolutely.
We spread our tentacles all around the world. A lot of your mates are in sort of places like America, Austin, Texas. You're in Australia. It's great news that the game here, which was the mother of all games, we gave birth to the game.
What's happened to you?
It's
now
a worldwide phenomenon, and you're part of it.
Well, do you mind if I actually ask you a sensible question instead of this rather
please
bizarre
do.
soliloquy about the sport that you love, comparing yourself to a professional footballer? Anyway, you mentioned obviously you played for Newcastle Jets. The other Newcastle back home are doing rather well, the top of the league tonight.
Well, they're doing rather well.
They're top of the league tonight.
But they're in the second division.
Hang on. Would you mind if I let Michael answer?
Yes.
Sorry, Michael, go ahead.
Yeah, it's good to see. I mean, Newcastle have bounced back incredibly, and I think you've got to credit Benitez for what he's actually done there. A lot of my mates are involved in the backroom stuff there.
Yeah.
And they've been blown away by what he's actually done. They had a whole makeover of the training ground. He wanted to get rid of all the bad aura around the place that had been there. They've changed that up. They've got the recruitment spot on, and obviously Dwight Gale has just taken to Newcastle United as the new number 9 in superb fashion.
Yeah.
And I think it's all down to Benitez and what he's actually done on the field as well as off the field.
And also, don't you think that the fact that he committed himself, and I know people always say, oh, well, he did it for the money, but the fact that he committed himself as such a decorated manager and a successful manager to stay with Newcastle, even down into the Championship to bring him back up, really it gives a shot in the arm to the whole league, to the Championship itself.
Well, I've got to admit, I was very surprised as well when he did that. And again, I was thinking, it's just a money spin, until I spoke to a few of the lads behind the scenes after about 2 months and said, oh no, he's witnessed how big this club can be and the potential behind it, and he has fine-lined and fine-tuned what he wants to change. And that just shows you the mentality of the guy, and obviously how well sought after he is to be doing what he's doing.
Well, Mike, I think £3 or £4 million a year from the billionaire Mike Ashley may have helped him make his mind up. You know what I mean?
Very cynical. Listen, Michael, thank you so much for joining us. Yeah. Appreciate your time. Yeah. We don't have any more left, unfortunately, thanks to Porky's ridiculous rant.
He's got an £8 million house.
Who has?
Old Rafa.
Yeah, well,
on the Wirral.
Yeah, but to you, everything's about money, right?
Well,
it's not all about money.
Yeah, I have no problem.
I believe that Rafa's commitment to Newcastle has not only been brilliant for them, but it's been brilliant for the Championship.
I think he should demand the best money, because it was a job that was going to be, dangerous to his reputation had it gone wrong.
Well, it looks as if things are going well for him at the moment, which is great. This is Talk Sport. Talk Sport. We are the two mics. There will be a podcast coming out a little bit later on. Ask Porky coming up later in the show as well. Yes. But in the next hour, we're going to be talking to Peter Smith over in Beijing in China to get his take on the Sunderland takeover.
Indeed.
And also on the Chinese space race.
China in my hand.
No, we're still in the first hour. That's song number 6. Now, there's been great reaction to me putting out a picture of you with your bag.
Yes.
Because what I
Which
did
I
say
volunteered for, by the way.
That's fine.
No problem. I've got no shame of that.
Yeah, well, I'm not surprised you have no shame. We know that. Yeah. Here is Mike Parry with his trendy man bag. Now, I asked for hit or miss from people, basically.
Okay.
Now, on the bag, it says, if I'm not mistaken, premium label Old Stone, right? Which I don't know, some made-up load of old cobblers from some shop, right? Roger says Old Crone, more like.
Old Crone.
Manager Boy says Trendsetter. David says lovely bag, what is inside it?
Yes.
Andy says complete miss, just missing an R to make it Old Stoner, which would be better. Scott says, MG, make sure he hasn't got your shirts in that bag, because it looks like a classic swag bag to me.
Jack D says, that bag was nicked from the dry cleaners in Portsmouth 8 months ago. No, it wasn't. I bought
Jason
it.
says it's a hands-down miss.
No.
Paul says, looks like Uncle Albert from Only Fools and Horses.
Lee says, top man bag, Porky. Well done, keep it up.
Where'd you find that one from?
Yeah, I found it.
Taxi Man says, he looks really dishevelled there, Mike. Could at least tuck his shirt into the purple trousers.
Yeah, sorry about that, but I mean, you know, I'm actively
And you've spent the last 15 minutes...
work at the moment.
You've been last 15 minutes criticising Manchester City trendy clothes.
Well, I've put out the picture of the trendy clothes, and most people have said, golly, they do look ridiculous.
No, they haven't. That's incorrect.
No.
Becky says, men should embrace their feminine side. What is he keeping it anyway? As man bags go, it's okay, so she quite likes it.
Thank you.
What do you keep in it?
I keep him some documents.
Documents?
Yeah, collection of pens.
Papers?
Yeah, collection of pens.
Collection of pens?
Yes.
Well, let's have a look.
A comb.
Let's have a look.
No.
Let's go into Porky's bag. We can do it the next hour.
No, we're not going to go into Porky's bag.
Let's go into your bag and my bag.
No.
Well, that'd be great
I've
fun.
told you.
That'd be great fun.
No, it won't.
Because I don't mind you looking in my
comb,
bag.
A deodorant.
Deodorant?
Right? Yeah, which I carry around with me all the time.
Why?
Well, because I do.
What sort of deodorant?
A roll-on deodorant.
Roll-on?
Yes, a
Oh,
roll-on.
super.
Yes, that's right, yeah.
What, has it got any flavour to it? I mean, scent of any kind?
I think it's got...
I think we should do this. I think empty the bags out on the counter.
There's no need
see
to.
what's in there.
Hang on,
I mean, if there's anything embarrassing, I won't mention it to anyone.
No, you don't worry. It's just that I think that's just getting too boring for the audience.
I don't think it's boring at all. I think it's fascinating.
Of Men Care Extra Fresh.
Very nice.
Yeah.
Oh, it's quite small, isn't it?
Yes, that's right. Yeah, well, that's why I carry it around with me, you see.
Okay.
And I carry some wipes as well.
I mean, I don't even know what's in my bag.
During the hot weather and all that, I have to I have to be like a cat, if you see what I mean.
What?
You know, constantly refresh yourself
Well,
during the
careful
day.
somebody doesn't
You know
zap
what I
me
mean?
with 500,000 volts up the jacksie.
No, that's only me who does that to cats. Nobody else.
It's a great one here from Death.
Yes.
He says, what's in the bag? Chance it to him until he breaks. What's he got to hide? I reckon it's a property portfolio and KFC chicken.
No,
what
I've
did you
got-
do with your KFC chicken, by the way?
I've ditched it
Have
today.
you have you destroyed it humanely?
Well, it went in the big mincer bin.
Oh, did it?
Yes.
What, you did it down the old... have you got one of those things they have in America? You know, the-
Shoot. No.
No, not a chute, but you know the waste disposal. You know, all their
yes.
sinks have a waste
Yeah,
disposal.
yeah, I did actually.
Have you got one of those?
Yeah, I have. Yeah.
So where does that go?
It goes into the water system.
Oh, right. So you've
flushes
ground all
water
the
out.
chicken into the water system?
Yeah, it's all gone. Yeah.
Well, that doesn't
yeah.
sound very hygienic.
Well, it's the best way to get rid of it, to be honest, because it mushes
I thought
it to
was it all
pulp.
frozen?
Sorry?
Wasn't it all frozen?
No, I tell you what happened. I had an appointment today, so I had to go out, and I was out the apartment for about 2 hours.
Okay.
So I took it out of the freezer before I went out. When I came back, it was mushy and horrible.
Ugh.
So I ran a lot of water into the waste disposal unit.
Yeah.
And
That doesn't sound very environmentally friendly.
and it goes through detergent and
Yeah, I know, but
disinfectant,
you've used an awful lot of water.
Yeah.
And all that sort of stuff.
Yeah, well, it's the best way to get rid of it.
In order to get rid of it. Why don't you just pack it all up in a big bag, double seal it, double bag it, and chuck it in the bin?
Well, I could have done that, but I decided to make it a completely finite gesture, so I got rid of it that way. Okay.
Ethan says this: Porky's bag is probably full of sausage rolls, KFC, and Red Bull.
No, it's not, honestly. I mean, look, if you want to take a picture of what's inside my bag, I don't mind, but it's too boring for all millions
Well, I
of
don't
listeners.
think it is boring.
All right, well, we'll do it in the next break, okay?
I think it'd be quite fun to do.
All right.
You know, it's like when they do that contents of a woman's handbag
Yes,
thing, you know,
okay.
because
Okay.
women always carry strange things.
Yeah.
Tractor Boy Steve says Rafa and the Toon Army will come unstuck against the mighty Tractor Boys of Ipswich Town this weekend.
Oh, yeah, I think so.
And Lynn says about your bag, how much did he pay for it? If it was more than £1, he was robbed. Mm-hmm. Pardon the pun.
Oh, that's very nice, isn't it? Yeah. People telling me I'm walking around with a trash bag. Well, I'm not.
Well, I mean, it's
at
not
all.
exactly. It's not exactly the height of sophistication, is it?
Well,
I mean, my bag is not meant to be anything other than purely functional. That's all it is.
Gosh, listen, I want to talk to you about your dog.
My dog.
Yeah, two things, right?
Yeah.
What about this? How stupid is this? We were just talking about, getting towards bonfire night and all that. We're in the Liverpool Academy, aren't we? On
The O2 Academy, yes.
On the 4th.
Yes.
So we'll be back here on the 5th.
We will.
And I'm going to watch Everton play Chelsea that afternoon. So
There'll be fireworks at that game.
Be fireworks at that game. But what about this? I think this is the most stupid thing I've ever read. Dogs can be taught not to be scared of fireworks by playing CDs of banging noises to them, a vet has claimed.
Well, that's ridiculous.
It is ridiculous.
I'll tell you what happened, actually, last week.
Dogs genuinely hate banging noises.
They don't like
they?
loud noises. I'll tell you what happened last week.
Yeah.
We had obviously we had the big battle, 950th anniversary, Battle of Hastings.
So a lot
weekend.
of coverage of that.
Yeah, and there was lots of things going on. Yes. And, when you have to try and do a few things around the family and everything else, we had to pop down into Hastings to get something. They were closing their roads at 3:00.
Okay.
Because they were having a big firework display on the beach, right? So we had to swing by a shop and I had to park in this kind of loading area of the shop. And so the mother and my children went in to get the stuff that we wanted to get. The 2 kids were in the back. The dog was in the back, the very back of the car.
Yes.
You know, because it's like an estate car. And unfortunately, just about 50 yards behind where we were stopped, there's a very sort of regularly used pub in Hastings. It's not a particularly nice pub.
Okay.
And people were gathering there.
Sort of trash in there.
Rather, yeah. But people were gathering there for the appearance of the procession about 6 hours later.
And some of that procession had come from the north of England, hadn't it? They'd done the old march.
Well,
no,
they were in battle. This was actually in Hastings. Now, the thing is that they do this big procession where there were a lot of drummers.
Yes.
And the drummers all started collecting at this pub.
Right.
And they suddenly started playing.
Right.
Right. The dog completely freaked out.
Your dog?
Yeah.
You're right, okay.
Completely freaked out. First of all, jumped into the back seat with the kids.
Yes.
Which was okay. But then, as we were sort of observing him, he was getting very nervous. He then jumped into the front seat.
Right.
And came and basically sat on my lap.
Wow.
And wanted me to cuddle him.
Yes.
Once I cuddled him, he was fine.
Right.
But he was actually on my lap in the
Yes.
front seat, the driver's seat.
I mean, some dogs, they crawl under the furniture and all sorts of things, and even if you try to cover them. But anyway, it goes on to say, exposing a pet to 5 minutes of firework noises 2 or 3 times a week now can help it cope with bonfire night, according to Claire Hickman.
Who's she?
She's a vet from East Grinstead in West Sussex, so it's not far from you.
Yeah, not that far.
She
on the
said-
way to Gatwick Airport.
Yeah, she said the CDs of fireworks and gunshots increase the volume over time. After a while, they'll get used to it. Not in my experience.
Well, I mean, I suppose it's a bit like police horses that we talked about on Sunday on the show.
Yeah.
With that very good, that Finn's Law thing that they're trying to get.
That's right.
You know, police horses and dogs better protected.
That's right.
And recognised and all that.
Yeah.
I mean, I suppose you have to train a police horse and a police dog to react differently in those
well,
noisy
of course you do,
situations.
but they're working dogs.
That's what I mean.
A pet's not a working
Yeah.
dog.
I mean, do you remember when I told you last year that the dog behaved very strangely on bonfire night because he got sort of freaked out in the garden?
Yeah.
Because he wasn't that bothered by the noises, but I think the prolonged nature of it got to him in the end.
Well, it went on and on and on.
Yeah, because it does tend to go on for a long time, and I think he was just disoriented, he didn't like it, and at one point he wouldn't come back into the house. Mm-hmm. You know, he wouldn't come anywhere near that, and we thought he'd seen some kind of apparition.
Right.
Because he was behaving as if there was something that had spooked him.
Whoa.
That was near the path to the front door.
Very odd.
And he wouldn't come back into the house for about a good 15, 20 minutes.
Wow, very odd.
Just wouldn't come anywhere near it.
Very odd. Now, listen, the other thing I want to talk to you about your dog is this, the two-way dog lead. Now, have you seen this?
The two-way dog lead? No.
Yeah, you see, there is a thought amongst animal psychologists that it is absolutely wrong to keep a dog on a lead all the time because you're putting the dog into slavery.
Right.
The dog follows you around. The dog's not free to go. I mean, obviously, it's for his safety most of the time.
A lot
if you're
of the time,
on a busy road or something like that, and you don't want him to run off and all that.
Yeah.
However, it gives the dog the feeling that it has no control over its own destiny.
Yes.
Now, this new lead, what happens is, it's a weird thing. It has two handles.
Two handles, yeah.
And one of the handles you put in the dog's mouth.
Yes.
So the dog thinks it's leading itself around.
Well, some dogs like to pick up the lead and walk on their own.
Right.
But carry the lead with them.
Right.
You know, other dogs like to be led. You know, it all depends.
Yeah.
I mean, our dog's actually got us a harness. So that the lead, so I don't clip the lead onto a collar around his neck.
No.
You clip it onto a clip on his
It's
back.
better, isn't it? Because
It is better.
You're not yanking his
it
head
doesn't mean
around.
you're not yanking his throat around.
Yeah, that's right,
Because he does tend to pull a little bit as well.
Exactly, yeah.
And he's a big dog, very powerful.
exactly,
It's easy to control him.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, I think that's not a bad idea. I mean, because we'd use the harness, I don't think we'd need it. But it's 30 quid, it says here.
Yeah.
Available from the We for Dogs website.
That's right. And apparently, what you do is you attach the dog's lead to a toy.
Yes.
So, like a dog toy. So the dog puts it in his mouth and then he's got hold of his own lead as well. And he thinks he's in charge of his own destiny.
Yes.
Well, I'm glad people are thinking about this sort of thing,
Well, it
to
is
make
good.
life better for dogs.
I mean, one of the great joys of living where I live down in Sussex is that most of the places we take him, he doesn't have to be on a lead at all.
No, that's good,
You know,
yeah.
and he can just run around. Same on the beach and all that. You know, it's very good. He's quite.
That's why I
he's
could
quite
never,
free,
ever
but easy.
understand people keeping a dog in Manhattan.
No.
Never could understand that. They're not allowed in the park anyway, are
No.
they? Not allowed in Central
Well,
Park.
if they are allowed in the park, they're not allowed off the lead.
Exactly, and they've got to be very closely monitored and all that kind of stuff. And why would you keep a dog in a 33rd floor apartment?
I know.
Just
Well, I suppose a lot of these
Drives
little
me
dogs
mad.
you could do it with, but with anything sort of proper sized, I think it'd be an
dogs
absolute
should be in
waste of
fields
time.
running around playing with each other,
Yeah, absolutely right.
Yeah.
Now, talking about Manhattan,
Yes.
there's a couple of stories that I wanted to bring to your attention.
Oh, yes.
Not least the one about this new thing called a Guzzle Buddy wine glass. I don't know if you've seen a picture of this, right?
Seen that, no.
Now, believe it or not, and somebody actually tweeted this to us earlier.
Yes.
I think it was Edo. And basically, it's a glass that fits onto the end of a bottle of wine. And I've got a picture of it here.
What?
So you basically can put a bottle of wine to your lips, and the glass attaches to the end of the bottle.
Well, that's like swinging out the bottle, isn't
Well,
it?
it's like swinging out the bottle, but it's a bit more sophisticated.
Because the wine comes into
Also,
the
you
glass
can't
attached to the top of the
yeah,
bottle.
I mean, you can drink out of a bottle of beer,
Yes.
which is fine.
Yes.
You can't really drink out of a bottle of wine.
Well, you shouldn't. No, I agree.
Well, it's not that, but it's not that pleasant
It's volume.
to do.
It's volume. Yeah, I
It's
agree.
not that
Too much volume going into your mouth all the time. Yeah.
And, yeah, I mean, you couldn't drink champagne this way, but
No, you
you
couldn't.
could. But you could drink wine.
I'm not sure you could. I'd like to know how much wine spills into the glass attached to the top of the bottle
Well,
every time you have it at an angle of 180 degrees.
Well, it says at Guzzle Buddy's an XL wine glass, which has a stopper where you would usually find a stem.
Yes.
So instead of so at the very base of where the stem would be,
Yes.
there's a stopper which you can presumably release.
Yes.
And it says it makes spillage harder and drinking even easier. It's the perfect way to drink a bottle of wine.
Well, I don't think it'll. Like most of these wacko ideas, they
I think I might get one for my sister.
Yeah, good idea.
Get one for yours.
Yeah, get it too.
She'd
Yeah,
probably be
that's
quite
a
happy.
good idea. Yeah, for Sue
Plug
Ellen.
it, and it says Guzzle Buddy. Their advertising slogan is "Plug it and chug it."
Plug it and chug it. Yeah, that sounds.
I mean, it's not one for the connoisseur, really, is it?
Definitely not. And also, it'll last about 5 minutes and then it'll go away again. Because if every device like that was made was popular,
Although-
people would be millionaires.
Although I have known people in the
Yeah.
past who like to drink a separate bottle of wine. They don't like to drink a shared bottle of wine because that way they know how much they've drunk. Do you know what I
Really?
mean? If you're in the house, yeah.
I don't think I've ever got to that stage.
Yeah, but I mean, you probably don't know how much you're drinking if you're drinking in a group and you open bottle after
I
bottle
don't
after
care.
bottle after bottle. You don't care.
I don't care because of the ambience of the relationships that you're in and the ambience of, the camaraderie, having friends around and all that. Let's crack a few bottles, I always say, and I couldn't care less how many we crack.
All right. Well, I'm like
As long
you.
as they don't collapse.
I'm like you, but certain people say
Yeah.
if I drink more than, say, a bottle and a half of wine on my own, and I'll have a terrible hangover. So if I stick to one bottle, and I know when I've got to the end of that bottle...
Have you ever had that night when actually you've got quite excited about something and something's happened, you've taken a phone call, oh, it's all getting better, and then it goes past midnight
Yeah.
and all that, and then, I'll just take another bottle out of the fridge, and
Yeah.
you think, that's funny. There are a lot more bottles than this. and then you go to the bin and you actually count 3 gone already.
Yeah.
I mean, that's the moment,
Yeah.
isn't it? When
if you ever have 3, that's quite a big night, I
Yeah,
would say.
exactly, yeah.
I
And you're
would
just
say.
cracking open the 4th.
Yeah.
And there's nobody else there.
Yes.
Bad news.
That isn't good.
Bad
This
news.
is Talk Sport.
Crazy, but that's how it goes. Millions of people living as hoes. Yeah, but maybe.
This is Talk Sport. We are the two mics. Then we'll be Ask Porky coming up a little bit later on. You can still send your questions in. We have got loads, by the way, but if you send in a particularly good one that's never been asked before,
Yes.
it may make it under the wire.
Indeed.
We have also got to decide on a quiz
Yes.
at some point. Doesn't have to be decided today, but it
No,
would be good
it's
if
better
it
if we
was.
do. Better if we do.
Steve says this: both labs I've had from pups, and I always take them to a big fireworks display as pups work every time. Mm-hmm. Well, I guess it's each to his own, isn't it?
Yeah,
I
of
mean,
course
if your
it is.
dog's used to it, then that's fine. But by and large, most animals are not very keen on firework displays.
Yes.
And of course, the worry for most people is that it's not so much the big firework display that's been organised,
Yeah.
but it's all the little ones that go on
Exactly.
around. We used to, for example, have a little firework display in the back garden
Yes.
for the kids.
Yes.
But now that we've got the dog, we don't do it.
Oh, I see. Well, because it frightens the dog.
Well, it probably would.
Yeah, I suppose so.
It's sort of common sense, isn't it?
So what do? Do you take your children to a big firework display without the dog?
Yeah. Well, like I said, what we do, fortunately, there's
Yes.
the Hastings one was last Saturday.
Yes.
Which we didn't go to because of the rain was not very. It was all horrible and wet and everything
Yeah.
else. But the Battle one will be on November the 5th, which we can actually see.
Oh, yeah.
From the back garden.
Right.
So we won't have to go to it.
Yeah. I'm not great into firework displays. I think they're good for about a minute, and then they'll look the same to me. You know what I mean? You
Yeah.
stand there and boom, and then boom.
There are some
and then
amazing. Yeah, there are some amazing kind of.
and then
Yeah, all right. You can
know.
never keep making the
Yeah,
same
yeah.
noise.
Yeah.
But there are some amazing sort of developments in firework technology. If you want to,
Yeah, well, they
think
make
about that.
patterns in the sky, but
Yeah,
then,
but
then
they've-
the pattern falls away.
Yes, but they each year they get cleverer and they get more complicated, and they're quite important things for kids to see as well.
Well, I suppose so. Yeah, I suppose it's part of growing up, isn't it? You go to the firework display. We all know that, of course.
Exactly right. So you won't be going to one then?
No,
after?
I won't. No.
So you're after you do the warm up with me,
Yes.
and you go to the football with
Yes.
your mystery partner.
Yes.
What will you do in the evening?
Well,
fall over probably.
no, I'll probably go out for dinner with people. You know what I mean?
With people?
Yeah.
What sort of people?
Well, I don't know. Yeah.
You don't know yet?
Well, you meet. Chelsea has become the club of celebrity. If you see what I mean,
Ah.
You tend to meet people there, and then you tend to move on.
Oh, yeah.
Maybe down the King's Road or something like
Really?
that. Where
It's very busy down there after a game, though, isn't it?
Yeah. Well, no, not the sort of places I go to.
Where do you go in King's Road, then?
Well, you don't go to what I would call the. What would you call
They've
them?
got Weatherspoons in the King's Road, have they?
No, they haven't. No, but I wouldn't go to a
Are you sort of
populous type place.
Right. Are you kind of reverting back to your snobbish ways now that you've decided that you're on the trail of what can only be described as the opposite sex?
No, not at all. Not at all. I mean,
I was going to say something else there.
Yes, I know you were. Yeah, and the smutty sort of innuendos that you've been trying to level at me ever since.
Well, you've been very different ever since you met this woman on the way back from Mallorca.
Excuse me,
you've
I
been
don't
much nicer to me.
I don't
You've
think
been
so.
much calmer. You've been much more kind of, simply put, I would say you've become very much more like your old self that I used to know years ago.
Well,
instead of this irascible kind of guy who doesn't really have any care or want for anybody else in the world.
I'm not sure about that. Listen, one thing I do is I keep up with my book reviews, okay?
Do you?
Yeah, an amazing book I've read called, which you sent to me. It's called Blitzed. It's about drugs in Nazi Germany.
Oh, yeah.
It's an amazing book, I mean... I don't like reading stuff about Nazi Germany. It's such a repulsive period of history.
But people do
and all
continue to write books about it.
Yeah, they do, actually. Yeah, amazingly.
And make films about it.
Because, of course, it's a fascinating but tragic period of history. But it says here that the reason that the Blitzkrieg was so... effective, Blitzkrieg being the rapid strike.
Yeah.
That's what it translates from in Germany.
Yeah.
Because largely before the Second World War, most warfare was still on horseback.
Yeah.
And
sort of in trenches.
Yeah, in trenches, exactly. In trenches, on horseback. They invented a tank.
Although they did have a tank in the First World War.
I was going to say, they invented the tank and all that. And then, of course, Hitler took that to a much more refined level. And the Blitzkrieg was about moving fast.
Yeah.
Moving armies fast in motorised divisions. Aircraft striking very quickly and all that kind of stuff. But he said the reason it happened was because most of the people involved in the formation and execution of military activity in Germany were off their heads on drugs from about 1938.
Well, what sort of drugs, though?
Well, it says...
things that we would recognise now as hallucinogenics or what?
Yes, it says on the surface, the Blitzkrieg programme all sounds like... a snapshot from a 21st century film. In fact, what was going on is that the military elite in Germany couldn't get enough of their doses of methamphetamine, an upper, which today is commonly known as crystal meth.
Right. Methamphetamine, you mean?
Yes, that's right, yeah.
Right.
Yeah, well, crystal meth, I think it's called, isn't it? Crystal
Well, some people call it glass, if you've seen Breaking Bad.
Oh, OK, fine. The senior officers didn't need sleep. They buzzed all over. I'm wide awake. My heartbeat thunders in my ears. Everything becomes immaterial and abstract. The light is so bright I can hardly bear the brilliance. Let's go into battle.
Who was saying all that?
These are quotes from senior officers addressing their soldiers and leading them from the front, okay? It says, on the surface, this all sounds like a modern scene, a snapshot from a 21st century rave party or rock concert where youngsters blow their minds on illegal chemical stimulants. But if you thought that, you couldn't be more wrong. Astonishingly, these descriptions of drug-taking are from soldiers and airmen of Nazi Germany as they invaded and conquered Poland in a lightning-swift attack back in 1939. As the tanks and troops and planes swarmed across the border, there was no time for rest. Medical officers doled out performance-enhancing, mind-bending tablets by the bucket load to keep men awake, alert and focused. It's long been known that figures at the top of the Nazi hierarchy were serious drug takers. Luftwaffe chief, that's the German Air Force, obviously, Hermann Göring was addicted to morphine, and Hitler himself had massive doses of stimulants injected to him on a daily basis from about 1938. But much
Well,
the
how
same.
come this has never been said before, though?
Well, I don't know. This is research done by another historian of the Second World War.
Okay.
A guy called Norman Ohler. Ohler, who is German and translated into English.
Okay. Well, it might explain some of the horrors that took place, because we've seen, to be serious for a moment, some of the terrible things that have happened in African conflicts, where the boy soldiers are basically hopped up on all manner of different drugs.
Yes.
Because if they didn't give them drugs, they would have inhibitions.
Yeah.
They wouldn't want to do the things that they're being asked to do.
I totally agree.
And if you're off your rocker, maybe those things that can be done with a bit more glee or something.
Absolutely. They actually had huge factories, right, in Germany, which produced a factory-produced amphetamine called Pervitin.
Pervitin.
Pervitin. That's an apt name, isn't it, for something that made people so revolting?
I'm just surprised nobody's ever. I mean, maybe people have mentioned it.
Yeah.
I wouldn't say I'm an expert on the period.
Yeah.
But I've never heard of it before.
Well, neither have I. This is why I found the book so fascinating.
Yeah.
The tablets tasted horrible, repellently bitter and floury, according to one soldier as he chewed his 3 at a time, which were doled out to every fighting man, pilots, soldiers, everybody. But they were so effective in overcoming fatigue and delivering superhuman self-confidence that the distinctive orange and blue tubes that, they came in were every bit as essential as a piece of kit as a grenade or a rifle.
Huh.
They were delivered to the soldiers literally by the bucket load, and they were told to chew 3 a day, 10 times a day.
I mean, they were given in the guise of being vitamins or something.
Yeah.
I presume.
Yeah. According to the book by German author Norman Ohler, the whole of the Third Reich was awash with narcotics. The apt title of Blitzed shows just how drugged up he believes that the nation was as it fought and lost World War II.
He believes.
Well, that's what his researchers led him to say. It upped energy levels, gave confidence, boosted libido. Pretty soon, in booming Germany, everyone in industry, business or at home was upping his or her game by downing the pill Pervitin. This wasn't just soldiers and military officials. Even the general population, as the war turned against Germany, started eating them by the handfuls.
How bizarre.
Yeah.
Well, it's a very interesting sort of theory and a very interesting story. Norman Ohler, this guy apparently is a journalist, attended journalism school in Hamburg, Germany, born in 1970.
Right.
So,
he's gone back and done a lot of research.
Oh, he has.
Absolutely incredible.
I'm just amazed nobody's ever mentioned it before.
Well, I don't think anybody ever knew about it before, to be honest. I mean, it's a bit like,
But you think somebody would have done, wouldn't you?
Well, people are still writing books, believe it or not, about Lord Nelson.
Yeah.
And the reason is they go around researching letters, papers, books that haven't been seen before, and they come up with new tales.
Yeah.
People are still writing books about Elvis Presley.
Right.
People are still writing books about, chapters of history which go back hundreds of years, and that's because historians and historical authors go around researching things, they found out new facts.
But sometimes you have to say it's a bit theoretical. But who knows? I mean, it's interesting stuff. Coming up next, we're going to have some more interesting stuff because Peter Smith's going to join us from Beijing. He's going to tell us all about China's new space programme that they've got underway with, and also about whether Sunderland are likely to soon be owned by a company from that part of the world. This is TalkSport. Funny enough, you were asking me what my favourite song was that had the word China in it, and I said China Girl was
you
it,
did.
So there we are. Yeah. So things have come full circle. We've got Ask Porky coming up in a little while. First, though, let's go over to China, to Beijing specifically, I think, to Peter Smith. Peter, very good morning to you.
Hello again, and I'm actually in Shanghai, Mike.
Oh, are you? Oh, right, okay.
Right.
My apologies. We've got quite a programme of events for you tonight because I want to talk to you first of all about the space mission where China has launched 2 men into orbit in a project designed to sort of develop their ability to explore space. I mean, I suppose you would have expected this to have happened longer ago than now, but what's behind it and why are they doing it now?
Well, prestige, really. I mean, that's the thing. I mean, China really is in no more of an economic position to do this than, say, the established space that powers Russia and the US. But they're spending, it seems, a lot more of their budget and see this much more of a priority for China. They see it as a way of really, shall we say, becoming a really great power in the world and really forging ahead. And it's a place where America recently, of course, space is a place where America's taken a step back from, particularly under Obama. So they're kind of like head of the queue now when it comes to all these space missions.
And I mean, they're quite far behind in terms of the exploration done by Russia. I mean, NASA have said they're not going to be doing too much more of it, but they've also said we want to launch a mission to Mars. I mean, does China see space as a way of making money, or are they just, as you say, trying to be sort of keeping up with the Joneses, as it were?
I think it's the latter, really. I don't really see too many ways. I mean, we're talking the far distant future when it comes to actually making money from space, things like mining, etc. But I know that they are planning, of course, to go to the moon soon, which has been, some people here in China. It's kind of a double-edged sword, because some people see it as a great thing that China is actually going to the moon, but also they look at it, the fact that America did this 47 years ago.
Right, yeah.
So it's kind of like a bit embarrassing in a way. The big thing, of course, will be the Mars mission, which they're doing an orbiter in a lander, a rover in 2020, and surely in the near future. I mean, if you're placing bets, put money on the first human to step on Mars being Chinese.
Yes. Well, also, when it comes to these things, it's all about territory, it's all about flags. And, I mean, it was barred China, was it not, from an earlier sort of International Space Station project because people weren't sure about their military ambitions.
Yes, that's right. That is true. I mean, I suppose a lot of this does hark back to military, conflicts and obviously worries and concerns from the past. But really, I think a lot of this is just driven by prestige. It's the prestige of being number one. It's the going to a certain place first, doing more missions, spending more money. We see the same at the Olympic Games with China as well. It's the same kind of thing, and they've earmarked space as one place where they can really shine, and they're going to spend a lot of their budget on it over the next 10 years or so.
Peter, what happened to the previous concerns that China were using the space race not to further the good of mankind, as the Americans and Russians always claimed, but actually so they can control the world? And Ronald Reagan's, satellite war program, which never came about, could be something China are now having a look at anew.
Well, I suppose I think for many years that was even a concern over here when the Russians and Americans were fully in control of these things, that they were trying to do exactly the same thing. And of course, if China is developing a lot of the space technology, the same way that they're developing other technology, for example, nuclear power, then they're going to, yes, it will be seen as a way of not only making money regarding the sale of this technology, but also, yes, it does put them in a great position. But, you don't hear that many imperialistic ambitions or tub thumping over this side. I think most people see it as just a prestige for the country.
Of course, you say that,
powers,
Peter, but if you don't mind me saying so, China don't go around telling everybody we're going to conquer the world. They just get on with it. They own vast tracts now of Africa. They own enormous amount of property in Western Europe. Investments in America. They're just getting on with it. One day we'll wake up and find...
They own all America's debt, I think, don't they?
I think they own a huge amount of America's debt. And all I'm saying is, Peter, that inevitably China are going to be the most powerful influence on the world. And I would think part of that powerful influence has got to be controlling space, so that if anybody launches a nuclear missile at them, they just take it out in space.
Yes, that's true. But of course, if we go back to the days of Ronald Reagan, we know that the Americans were also trying to invest in this kind of thing. In many ways, you could look at it the other way and say that it's just a country looking after their own affairs.
I agree.
The whole Star Wars program of Ronald Reagan's was largely fantasy anyway, wasn't it? I mean, it was never going to be possible to do.
Sure. Well, that's right. Of course, I mean, it's given as one of the things which actually caused the toppling of the Soviet Union, isn't it?
Exactly. Because they believed it. Now, and another area of exploration is football, which we'll get on to in a moment. But I saw a report yesterday, Peter, about the expansion of a group called the Dalian Wonder Group, which I'm sure you're familiar with, which is owned by supposedly China's richest man, Wang Jianlin, and it's a studio complex that they've built over in Qingdao, I think, where they're trying to lure American film producers and filmmakers to come and actually make their films in China, which is extraordinary, isn't it?
Well, yes. I mean, this obvious way of looking at this is that there's a lot of money in China, especially with the entertainment groups. That they're becoming an entertainment group. It started off as a reality company, Wonder. I actually live in Wonder Apartments here in China. So they own a lot of real estate. They've moved into the entertainment industry in recent years. And yes, they just see this as a sizable investment for the future. If they can really encourage a lot of, it's collaboration collaborations, really, with the established Hollywood studios, Hollywood directors, stars. We're going to see the results of this coming soon. Things like this new film with Matt Damon called The Great Wall, which has had its trailers all on YouTube. It looks extremely cheesy, if you ask me, but we're going to get many more of those things, and possibly the introduction of Chinese actors and directors as well over in Hollywood. So a lot of these collaborations are going to come. China is where the money is, so I don't think it's actually that much of a surprise. And also the growth in the industry as well. The China is mad on cinema. They go to, this is a really massive emerging market. Hollywood knows that, so they're trying to get in as well. And this also includes, the knock-on effect of this is that Hollywood films are going to try to put Chinese elements into their movies, you see. And this is the effect it might have. It might actually change film production. And I think we're already seeing it with films like, what was the one I watched recently? Independence Day 2. I don't know if you've seen that.
I haven't seen it, no.
There was an appalling film which was clearly trying to cash in on the Chinese market. It had one of their stars, Angela Baby, who was a fighter in the film in some ridiculous role. So that's one of the problems I see with this, in that it might actually compromise a bit of the artistic integrity, because what the Chinese tastes, the kind of films they like, are a little bit different to the films we've got used to in the West. So it could really be good and bad. I mean, a lot of money is going to be spent on films, but the films might change to try to appease the Chinese market.
Well, absolutely. I hope the films are better than when I was a student. We used to go out and get completely bladderated on a Saturday night and then go and watch a Bruce Lee film called The Big Boss. And these films were so bad.
Enter the Dragon was the famous one, wasn't it?
Enter the Dragon was quite professional. That somebody then took on the genre of Bruce Lee and made a good film. But the first
that
three...
was Bruce Lee, though.
It was, but the first three he made were basically made in Chinese, and they just dubbed, like, Western words over them. And all this kind of stuff.
Sorry about this piece.
But they were appalling. The early Bruce Lee films are absolutely appalling. I'm sure these will be better. Let's get on to the football situation, Pete, because, yes, you've probably seen some of those Bruce Lee films, have you?
I have indeed.
Yeah, exactly.
Yes, my wife's brother was very much into them. I know what you mean.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm sure we're not going to get too many of those.
No, indeed. Right. So, is Chinese money now going to flood the football scene in England? I mean, obviously, over the last couple of decades, a lot of money's come from the Middle East, a lot of money's come from America, and now we think the Chinese might be trying to buy. They've already bought West Brom. They might be trying to buy Sunderland.
Well, yes, and this is another really extension of what we've been speaking about before, because there's so much money washing around, and here in China, particularly films, entertainment, football is seen as part of that entertainment industry as well. And really, I think the opinion is that many of these groups and these consortia over here in China can pick up Premier League clubs or clubs hovering just below in the championship for a song. And when you look at the commercial contracts and the money available, of course, from the Premier League as well, but also the other things, player transfer deals, everything like that. If a group, for example, like Wanda, wanted to promote their name around the world, what better way to do it and cost-effective way to do it than to buy an up-and-coming English football team? And no one's going to turn down the amount of money that they're offering. That's the same money. Will get you there.
But that's the thing that's interesting, what you were saying about the film business and how basically this group has already done a deal with Sony Pictures. They want some Chinese influence into the actual making of films. With the football business, they've tried that, haven't they, to make it more kind of Chinese, sort of inclusive, if you like, but it hasn't really worked. The second coming of Chinese football doesn't appear to have worked either.
Well, yeah. I mean, there was a very interesting report, really, which came through from the Chinese Football Association this week about them trying to be the best football club in the world. I don't know if you saw this in the year 2050, if you've seen this declaration.
I haven't seen that, no.
Yeah, I have, yeah.
Well, I mean, that is true that China's putting, a lot of investment this way, but also that was greeted with a bit of derision here as well. I mean, I was reading the comments about it on social media saying, what are they planning to do? Sort of like start working on the strains of DNA for the players for 2050? Yeah. I mean, it's kind of, nobody would be surprised. No one would be surprised the amount of money washing around here. Again, though, I have to say there is also a lot of this is government encouraged as well. A lot of these consortia you do have government interests and government parties involved in them, and there is definite encouragement by the government in Beijing for these consortia to invest abroad, particularly clubs like Manchester City, because again, it increases Chinese influence in the world, increases Chinese potential power in the world. So, looking after its own interest.
Sure, absolutely right. Well, Peter, listen, thank you very much indeed for taking the time
Pete.
to talk to us once more. No doubt the world will be marching on in a few more months' time. We'll be back to you for a bit more interest on the space mission scenario. Right now, we are the Two Mics. This is TalkSport. Great song, isn't it? Eh?
Who sung that?
James Brown.
Oh, James Brown. He wasn't a nice person, was he, James Brown?
I don't think he was a particularly nice person.
He was not a nice person. I mean, he used to go around beating up women.
Godfather of soul.
Godfather of soul. He waving guns around, firing at people, all that kind of stuff. You know what I mean?
A few mind-altering drugs in his time as well.
Oh, yeah.
But, of course, that's Papa's got a brand new bag. Why have you put a picture of my bag?
Well, because I thought, as you were
you didn't ask me to pose with it, though.
Well, I didn't want you to pose for it. I was going to take a picture of the bag surreptitiously and put it out.
Well, that's what you've done.
Because what you're doing
is
you're trying to make me a figure of fun because I carry a bag around with all my chattels in it, okay?
Well, I've said, because I've commented on your tweet, which is described, you say, this is old MG's pathetic, scruffy bag that he carries around with him wherever we go. Yeah. How embarrassing.
Yeah.
And not wherever we go, actually.
Yeah, you do.
I bring it to work with me, right? Yeah. So if we go somewhere after work, i.e. for a drink, I take it with me.
Yeah.
And if I take it to a live show, it's because I've got things in it that I need.
I have to say, there's nothing more embarrassing than being in a pub with you, and then often you want to nip outside and have a cigarette because you smoke,
right?
And
I always take the bag with me.
Yeah, exactly. You cart it around with you all over the place. You look like a
I take it with me
like a homeless wretch.
Well, a homeless wretch, I think, is the way that people would describe your clothes and the pictures that they've seen of you today.
999.
The reason I take it with me is I don't believe in leaving. I mean, ironically, I don't believe in leaving things in pubs because, as I told you last night, I once had a briefcase stolen from underneath my chair.
Yeah.
So I don't like to leave people with the opportunity to steal something from me. But I've said it is a purely functional bag, and I'm quite happy to reveal its contents.
Really?
You still are saying you're not going to reveal the contents of your bag.
Well, I don't see why I should.
Well, because it would be interesting.
Well, I don't think it's that interesting.
Look, I've got a plastic bag here, which is from the airport, because I haven't changed that. There's this little bit of Vaseline in there.
What's the Vaseline for?
Well, in case I get dry lips. I get chapped lips sometimes in the cold weather.
Oh, really?
Yeah, because I've got full lips, unlike your thin lips.
Chapped lips.
Yeah.
That bag that you had...
I've got a cloth which I clean my various devices with.
Yeah, really?
I've got a connecting wire for charging my phone.
Oh, that's really interesting.
Which is in there. Let's see, what else have I got in here?
Do you think anybody really cares?
I've got some cleaning fluid for the screen. Okay.
What screen?
For the screen of my iPad.
Oh, yeah.
And for the screen of my phone. You're supposed to keep it clean.
Really?
I've got my sunglasses in here in a case.
Oh, yeah? Sunny, is it, out at the moment?
Well, it might be.
Really?
When I like to know where my sunglasses are.
Do you?
I don't like to leave them in one place or another.
Ah.
So that's basically what I've got in my bag.
Okay, yeah.
What do you got in yours?
Well, I've told you already.
You don't want to tell me, do you?
Do you know you said you had this bag stolen from underneath your feet?
Yes.
Did I tell you one time that my niece was staying with me because she was completing her higher education?
The one that I've met?
The one that you've met.
She's a very nice girl, your niece.
Of course, she's a lovely girl.
Yeah.
And she had to do a couple of days at the Polytechnic of the South Bank, which is just round the corner from us here.
I mean, South Bank University.
Is it South Bank University?
Well, it will be now, yeah, because you remember they renamed all the polytechnics,
Of course
didn't
they did, yeah, that's right, yeah.
Because you went to a polytechnic.
Yeah, so I said, and so her mum rang me up, that's my sister Jill, and said, Karen's coming up to London. I said, well, of course you can come stay with me, no problem at all, It's only a few days, that's fine. Very nice to see her. So I gave her a set of keys. So she goes out after completing this 2 days of whatever she was doing, tests and, exams and that kind of stuff, with a load of friends. And they go into a bar around here somewhere and get completely bladderated, which is the will of a young person who's just finished doing exams. No
Especially
problem at
one
all.
called Parry.
Sorry?
I suppose she's not called Parry, though, is she?
No, she's not, actually, no, because, of course, my sister's married some other chap whose name is not Parry.
Okay.
So, anyway, all of a sudden, it was a Friday afternoon, and I was here. I don't know why I was still here, but it was kind of 6 o'clock in the evening or something. And they'd been out since lunchtime, 2 o'clock, And I got a call, and she said, "Oh, hello, mate, it's Karen. Hello, darling, yeah. What's the problem?" Well, not a big problem, but somebody's stolen my bag. I said, "Well, that's a terrible problem." I said,
What, in the pub? What, a handbag?
Yes.
Yeah.
And I said, "What happened? Did you walk off?" And she said, "No, it was between my legs, between my feet, and somebody came up, behind us at the table and reached down and took it without me noticing."
And she didn't notice.
And I said, how long ago was this? She said it could have been 2 hours ago. She said, "That's only just noticed it's gone."
Well, that's the trouble. I mean, these people are, opportunist thieves.
Yeah.
And they walk into places which are busy, and as they did to me. And, if you're busy, you're talking, you don't always notice.
That's right. Anyway, she said, I've looked after everything. She said, I only had one credit card in it. They had the other one in my pocket, you know, and a bit of money and some makeup. So it's not really a huge disaster. She said, but, I thought I'd give you a ring because I know you're not going home tonight, but I'm going home now. So can I have your keys?
Oh, because the keys were in it as well.
Yeah. So I said, they took the keys as well, did they? She said, yeah. I said, well...
You have to change the locks, wouldn't you?
Well, I just said to her, I said, well, it's a good job you took that label off the keys, wasn't it, that had the address on. And she suddenly said, oh, I'm sorry, Uncle Mike, I didn't.
Oh, great.
I said, so 2 hours ago, somebody nicked your bag. There's a set of keys in it. It's got my home address on it.
Yeah.
She said, yes, I'm afraid that is the case. So
You've got to love them, haven't you?
Yeah, literally, I shot out of here, shot home, and, I thought I've got to beat the thief home.
Yeah.
And, yes, I had to have all the locks changed, and it cost 650 quid.
Blimey.
Yes.
How many locks have you got?
Well, because I've got an ornamental gate on the front of the house.
Prison gate?
The ornamental gate.
The drug dealer's gate?
The ornamental gate has got two massive locks on it. I never use one, but it's got two on it. They both had to be replaced. The front door...
Well, you just replaced one. Well, if you had to replace one, then you wouldn't be able to get in, would he?
Well, for future use, I had to replace both.
Yeah, because you could have saved yourself a couple £100.
Hang on, two locks on the front door.
You could have just changed one of those as well.
Well, we changed both because I thought it was the right thing
Why?
to do. Sorry?
Why?
Because it's the right thing to do.
You just change one.
And then I had to change the lock for the door leading into the roof garden in
Why?
case somebody climbed over the wall. I know it's like 5 floors up, but they could still have done it.
Well, it's nevertheless, you had 6 locks. You could have changed 3.
Well, I changed all 6.
Which would have probably cost you
that's
£300 instead of £600.
No.
Did she make any sort of contribution to the cost of that?
But I wouldn't expect her to, so it didn't matter. She stayed out for the rest of the night anyway.
Did she?
Thought it was all very funny. My Uncle Mike's had to rush home. Oh, Yeah, I did, yeah.
And so when she next appeared, was she kind of still without a key then?
Well, I was in when she got home then because I decided I'd, better stay in and all that kind of stuff. One of those things, I'm afraid.
Yeah, shocking though.
Yeah,
absolutely shocking.
Absolutely.
But this is what happens, and you can never. The worst thing about having anything stolen is that you never expect it to happen, and you always feel really stupid.
I agree.
Because you always think I could have done something more about preventing that from happening.
I agree.
So in answer to why I carry my bag around with me, if I have it with me, I don't like to leave it down anywhere. Because people will wander into a pub or a restaurant, they'll see an unattended bag, and they'll just nick it.
I wish you'd get a proper bag. That's
Why?
all. Well, that
What sort of
scruffy
bag?
little sort of
what sort of bag do you want me to
gym
have?
shoe holder, which is all it is.
It's perfect for what I need
It's not.
it for.
You should get a proper bag.
What, like yours?
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
Which has been described variously as, a PE kit. Here's one from Becky.
Yeah.
It's one of those bags you would take your PE kit into school.
No, yours is the one you take your PE kit in.
No.
Mine is a proper bag.
No.
I mean, just because some of the, ill-educated people who, try to wind me up sometimes send, negative reviews of the bag I'm carrying around, do you think that really changes my mind?
Well, it doesn't, but it doesn't mean you're right either. Aaron says, this is what I imagine taking my dad to my stag do would be like. Gives me the chills.
Yeah, well, don't take your dad to your stag do. I wouldn't have taken mine to a stag do. I've never been to a stag do anyway, so it doesn't matter.
Yeah, no, indeed. But if you did, please don't take that bag.
That's right. You know that lady, Kelly Hoppen, the interior designer?
In fact, not only do I know her, I do know her.
Right, okay.
I spent a very happy hour or so with her at Piers Morgan's wedding.
Oh, there you go. Okay,
She
fine.
came up to me and asked me to borrow if she could have a cigarette.
Yeah, really?
And I normally don't give cigarettes out.
No.
But I thought in her case I'd make an exception.
Because she's an attractive lady.
And well, yeah, and also she's quite an interesting lady.
Yeah, of course she is, yeah.
And her husband was there, but he wasn't paying very much attention to her.
Oh, I see. So you thought you'd step in.
Well, no, I just thought I'd talk to her.
She's South African, isn't she?
She doesn't sound South African particularly. She sounds very English.
Anyway, the reason I mention her is because she runs an interior decoration
She
business.
does indeed. I follow her on Twitter, actually.
Do you? Yeah.
Yeah.
She has. So did you
I
pick
think
up?
she was in here yesterday. I think she was on Talk Radio.
Oh, was she?
Yeah.
Oh, it's interesting because that could have been about the latest statement she made about her business, and that is that she will never now work for couples.
Yeah.
She will only work for single people.
Oh, is that right?
Because she said whenever she is doing interior decoration for couples, it ends up costing twice as much as it started out because one or the other comes into the room and says,
Yeah.
"No, I didn't want it like that.
yeah.
Change that."
Right.
And
But wouldn't that be good for her, though, if it becomes more expensive?
no, she says artistically it's a disaster because she ends up with a right mishmash
hodgepodge.
of interior decorations,
Yeah.
which she would not even like to put a name to. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Right.
It's interesting, that, isn't
It
it?
is.
Has it ever happened to you?
What?
Well, you know, you get, don't you get the constant thing like, we need a new kitchen. No, we don't.
Well, I know, because I've always pretty much...
We're having a new bathroom instead.
I've always pretty much acceded to whatever the woman that I'm with wants.
Yeah, yeah,
Because
I
I
see.
find my life becomes easier that way.
Yes.
I mean, there are certain... shall we say, interior decorating things that I just leave to them.
Sure.
You know, and the more important things in life,
Yes.
such as where we go on holiday,
Yes.
what sort of car are we going to get, and that
Yeah.
kind of thing, I
Yeah.
prefer to sort of, take a part in. But there's no point arguing about everything.
No.
You know.
If you don't take any interest in the house you live in, it's no wonder that your relationships have generally
Well,
speaking
no, I
failed.
take a great interest in them, but I'm quite happy not to be demonstrative about what the interior decorating should be like.
That's because you'd rather be out getting bladderated.
Not true.
True, it is true.
Not true.
It is true.
It's just that, they normally have to spend a lot more time in the house than I do.
Yes.
So it might as well be something they like. And unless it's
Yeah.
something completely hideous,
Yeah.
then I just go along with it.
Yeah.
Now, Jimmy has sent me in this. Can I get a shout out for Ferguson solar panels? We travel all over Scotland and the north of England. Follow me back, he says.
Yeah, but
What's
solar
that
panels
about,
are ruining the world, mate. Do you remember we came back
that's
on a
not very
train
nice.
from somewhere recently and we saw
Yeah, it was from
fields
Whitley Bay.
and fields and fields of solar panels?
Yeah, it's when we were coming back from Whitley Bay.
Was it? About
Yeah.
6 fields
It
full
was.
of solar panels.
All right.
And I bet they generate as much electricity as I do.
Probably a bit more, actually. This is Talk Sport.
I've done the bag thing.
You've done the bag thing.
I've done
hang
the
on.
bag thing.
This is one from Michael, first of all. Could you
Right.
wish my brother Trevor a safe trip to Vegas? We'll be listening on his way to the airport. We both listen to the podcast every day, he
Okay.
says, which is very nice.
He's
So
on
when
his
you
way
say-
to Vegas now.
I think so, yeah.
Okay,
Now,
yeah.
when you say you've done the bag
Yes.
thing, what do you mean you've done
Well,
the bag thing?
I'm not taking all these taunts about I've got things to hide and all that. I have emptied the contents of my bag onto
you?
the desk. I have lined them all up.
Well, you've taken everything out of the bag?
Yes.
Okay, well, I
Yeah.
didn't see you taking everything out of the bag.
Well, I've done it whilst you were
Whilst
doing
I
other
was-
things.
While I was doing other things.
Yeah, that's right.
Okay.
And it's all sorted there, and people can make up their minds about whether the contents of my bag are what a guy who wants to stay ahead of the game needs
Okay.
to get through every 24-hour cycle of life.
So you're going to take a picture of that, are you?
I'm going to take a picture of it, and I've put the picture out already in your absence because you don't know what's going on.
Yeah, okay. Well, I'd be fascinated to see what sort of things there are.
Yes, good.
But I would have rather you just, put your hand in the bag and pulled things out like I did.
Well, I've laid it all out.
I had sunglasses. I had a little bit of a connecting
Yeah.
for my for my
I
phone.
don't need a
I had
posy pair of sunglasses.
What do you mean you don't need a posy pair of sunglasses?
I just don't need a posy pair of
You
sunglasses.
never know when you're going to need sunglasses.
Yeah, well,
And I don't like
I
to
do.
carry them.
I never wear them.
I don't
so-
like to carry the case in my jacket because it bulges out too much.
Yeah, really?
Yeah.
yeah.
And it ruins the lining of my my clothing.
Do you mean the line rather than the lining?
Well, no, it can ruin the lining as well
Yeah,
because if you
yeah.
put too much pressure on the lining of a jacket, it can
Yes.
sometimes rip, which is
Yes.
not what I want to do.
Yes.
Here's one from Ian in Krakow. It says, "Hi guys, I've left Krakow. Great to hear you loud and clear in my new home of Shenzhen here in China."
Yeah.
So he's moved from Poland to China.
Yes, that's
Quite good,
interesting,
isn't it?
that, because the Shenzhen, I'm not sure if that's a coded message, because Shenzhen is the name of the agreement which allows Chinese residents free passage around Europe.
I thought that was Schengen you're thinking of.
No, I think it's Shenzhen.
Well, Shenzhen may not be the right pronunciation.
Yeah,
S-H-E-N,
exactly.
Z-H-E-N.
I think it's the Schengen agreement. Free passage around Europe, everywhere except Great Britain. And it's a big...
Well, the Schengen Agreement's got nothing to do with China, though.
Of course it does.
I thought Schengen Agreement was totally an agreement just about the open borders inside the European Union.
Yes, to Chinese people. It's absolutely... It's
not to Chinese people. It's
it is.
to anyone.
It's not.
No, the Schengen Agreement is not just about China.
It is.
It isn't.
It is.
Have you gone mad?
It is, because the problem is that hoteliers and the people who own Harrods and all that in this country say, why don't we have open borders to Chinese people like Europe does? And it's all part of the Schengen Agreement.
Right.
And the answer the British government always says, well, if we open borders to Chinese people, we have to open all our borders to everybody. And that's a price too much to pay. And then the other side says, but hang on, the Chinese want to invest billions in this country. You know, we should make them feel welcome, not have closed doors slammed in their faces.
Okay.
That's the political
Well,
argument.
I think the Schengen Agreement has got nothing to do with China. But
It's got everything to do with
I'm not
China.
going to labour the point, because the whole point about the Schengen Agreement is that Britain didn't sign up to it.
Yes, that's
But
exactly what I've just told you.
But it has to do with Europe's Schengen area, in which basically border areas had been abolished.
Yeah.
Nothing to do with China.
It is.
It's nothing to do with China.
It is, honestly.
I think you've gone
I promise
mad.
you. No, I haven't. Yeah.
Okay, well, I'm not going to labour it.
Yes.
Let's have a look at what's in your bag then. So tell us what's in it, first of all.
Well, here, what's in it? Let me see. Where shall I start? Well, first of all...
Well, have you sent a picture out of it?
Yeah, I'll take the picture.
Well, if you take a picture and sent it, then I can look at the picture.
Okay,
and
we'll have a look at
what's
the
in.
picture. If you can access it, because you follow me on Twitter.
I can.
So starting from the top, there's the bag itself.
Yeah.
To the right is the black leather cover for my rather expensive headphones.
Oh, the faux leather bag.
Black leather cover.
You got a pair of scissors in here.
Yeah, hang
What's
on.
that for?
I've then got my notebook in which I write things down so I
Right.
don't forget things.
A jotter pad.
Yeah, that's my jotter pad, yeah.
Right.
And then next to that, I've got the charger for my phone, which
Okay.
everybody carries around.
Yeah.
Then I've got my deodorant plus my...
What's the sellotape for?
Well, the sellotape is for all sorts of things. You know, it's to sellotape things together or apart. And sometimes when I'm making notes... Funny enough, I might be on a train or something like that, and I write notes in the blue notebook,
Yeah.
and then I tear the page out, and then I sellotape it to the table.
I see some chewing gum.
To make sure I don't forget it. Chewing gum.
I see a red biro, which is
yeah.
of the type of pen
Yes.
that you have been harassing me about for weeks.
Yes, but-
saying these are the kind of pens that only a slob would use.
Yes, but
it's not an expensive pen.
You don't get expensive red pens. You just get a cheap red biro, and that's for underlining passages in newspapers when I'm reading something or something like that. Similarly,
Underlining passengers.
passages.
Oh, passages. Sorry.
Yeah, and similarly, you will see the highlighter that I have. That's also to highlight, things I read in my journals.
Things in your journals.
In my journals.
The trouble with the picture is that it hasn't been taken very expertly, I'm afraid.
Why?
Because it appears that unless you kind of do things to it. What's this thing that says? Oh, you've got wipes there, refreshing
Yes,
wipes.
that's right. Yeah.
And what's that white thing on top of it?
What do you mean?
Well, there seems to be something on top. That's the opening of the
Yeah,
wipes.
it's the opening of the wipes.
Oh,
yeah,
I
you
see,
idiot.
okay.
Yeah, can't you
Well, that's a bit
figure that
harsh.
out for yourself?
Yeah, well, there's a
Yeah.
comb as well that looks like something a schoolboy would carry around.
Well, it's a comb that fits into the...
But you don't comb your hair, do you?
Of course I comb my
Do
hair.
you?
Comb my hair all the time. When you wear headphones all the time, your hair tends to get unruffled and...
I'll just run my hands through mine.
Well, I don't because it gets greasy.
And there's another pen there as well. What's that other pen?
Well, that's...
A silvery-looking pen.
That's a sort of a rollerball pen.
It looks quite cheap, that one.
Well, I don't carry expensive pens around in my bag because they get knocked around and they would chip against the expensive paint on a good pen. You know what I mean?
So you still carry expensive pens in your pocket?
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Right.
Yeah, these are just...
So that's all you got in the bag?
Yeah, that's right, yeah.
I don't believe you.
But you've got to remember...
I think there's more stuff in the bag.
No, when you say is that all I've got in the bag, the black leather container against which the notebook is leaning...
Isn't that the faux leather bag?
That's my leather bag for my headphones.
That's the
so
faux
you've got to
leather.
remember, when my headphones are in those, that takes
I
up
see.
most of the space in the bag. You see what I mean?
All right.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
that's it then? No journals or anything?
Eh?
Nothing to read?
No, well, yeah, yes, there is. But, I mean, at the moment, I don't have a journal with me. That's
okay.
all. Yeah.
Oh, I see.
Okay?
All right.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, people will make up their own mind if that's the contents
Yeah.
of the bag, as
Yeah.
you say. I mean, I can't argue with it, really, can I?
Yeah, well, exactly.
So you have nothing to hide at all. I'd be quite
Nothing
happy
to hide. Nothing to hide.
make that statement for you.
Nothing to
However,
hide.
the Schengen Agreement that we were talking about is
Yes.
indeed, as I described it, it is the agreement between the countries of Europe, basically 26 countries, who agreed to abolish
Yes.
passport controls,
Yes.
which became a huge, massive thing in the last sort of 6 months to
That's
a year.
right.
Because under the the Schengen Agreement, they weren't really able to stop anybody from walking across the border from Eastern Europe into the rest of the European Union.
That's right.
So
That's right,
it's got nothing to do with China.
It's got everything to do with China,
Well,
because
I don't know why
Chinese
you keep
people
going
don't
on
have as much access to this country as they do to the rest of continental Europe, believe me.
No, it's got nothing to do with China. Honestly.
It has. It has.
Are you sure you haven't been taking any of that crystal meth?
No, I haven't been taking any crystal meth at all, mate.
Shenzhen, right, in the meantime, is the southeast Chinese metropolis that links Hong Kong to mainland China.
Exactly.
What do you mean exactly?
Yeah, well,
the two things are completely and utterly separate.
No, they're not. They're not separate at all. Honestly, don't worry about it. You know, it's it all makes sense to me. But then I've got a global view of life, which you haven't.
Yeah,
you know what I mean.
I find myself baffled by your clinging on to this thing that Schengen has something to do with China.
No, of course it is.
It has nothing to do with it.
Anyway, look, I think we should move on because there's other more important things I want to talk to you about, okay?
There are more important things to talk about, including Ask Porky coming up.
Yes.
Steve says this, don't bother looking in the bag, MG. It will only have Porky journals in it. But apparently no Porky journals.
No, it has Porky journals, but I'm not prepared to actually produce those.
Phil says this.
Yeah.
How about this? No such thing as a man bag. Men shouldn't carry handbags. If it doesn't fit in your pocket or wallet, you don't need it. Have you ever heard of an iPad, Phil?
Exactly. But rather an old-fashioned view.
Which pocket are you supposed to put that in?
Exactly.
Your plank.
Exactly.
This is Talk Sport.
Exactly.
Just let me hear some of that rock and roll music. Any old way you choose it. It's got a backbeat, you can't lose it. Any old time you use it. It's gotta be rock and roll music. If you wanna dance with me. If you wanna dance with me. I have no kick against modern jazz, unless they try to play it too darn fast and change the beauty of the melody until it sounds.
No, you never guess who's 90 years old.
Chuck Berry.
Chuck Berry.
You told me earlier.
Yeah.
I know. Yeah, I shouldn't have blurted that out perhaps so forcibly, but he is. Yeah. I think he was a very shady sort of character.
Well,
Chuck
a lot of
Berry.
these guys were. I mean, the early days of rock and roll were pretty much sort of uncharted territory.
Well,
weren't they?
these guys came from the deep south, and they brought with them deep south ways of life, i.e., marriage at 14 and 15 in some cases, and all this kind of stuff. You know what I mean?
Yes.
And some
although he is,
alternative sort of views on what civilization's all about.
Well, hang on, he's been married for 68 years.
Yeah.
Chuck Berry has.
Yeah. Didn't he marry his cousin at 14, though?
well-
I think he got a divorce from him, married somebody
What
else.
he's doing, right, is he's releasing a new album simply titled Chuck.
Yes.
Which will be apparently new original songs. But he says that he's basically dedicating it to Themeta Toddy Berry, his beloved wife of 68 years.
Okay.
Which is amazing.
She's still around?
It doesn't say, actually.
No.
I presume not,
No.
if it's dedicated to her. Two
Exactly.
of Berry's children, Charles Berry Jr. and Ingrid Berry, will be heard on the album playing guitar and harmonica, respectively.
So they must be, I suppose, about in their 70s, maybe, or
Well, yeah, definitely.
or 60s.
Certainly
in
in
the
their 60s,
yeah. That's really very interesting stuff. He made a song, or the first record for years he made, when we were around, when I was about 19, I suppose. We were knocking around in Chester together, all this kind of stuff, and used to watch Top of the Pops every Thursday before we went out.
right.
And all of a sudden, this really gnarled-looking old bloke comes on, holding one of these sort of classic guitars. Is it called a Fassbender or something like that? Or
Are you talking about a Rickenbacker?
a Rickenbacker or something like that?
Or
You're
a
absolutely
Fender?
right. A Fender or something. Anyway, this is a classic guitar.
Yeah.
You could tell just by looking at it. And he played a ridiculously stupid and infantile song called My Ding-a-Ling. Do you remember that?
Yes.
My ding-a-ling.
I remember it, yeah. It became a big- it was a big hit.
I want you to play with my ding-a-ling.
Yes, it was a sort of double entendre song, wasn't it?
Everybody wants to sing. They want to tell me about their ding-a-ling and all this kind of stuff.
You know all the
what I
words
mean?
to that one.
No.
You haven't got any of those words wrong. That's
Is
the
that
first
right?
song you've ever
Is
sung
that
without
right?
the wrong words.
Amazing. But it was, once I was a little
Well, you don't
boy,
have to sing the whole thing.
or something like that, I don't know.
How can you remember all of it?
I want to play with my ding-a-ling. And as you quite rightly say, it was a double entendre, a smutty double entendre about, sexual sort of discovery as a teenager or something like that, you know what I mean? And I thought it was pathetic. But what I was amazed was the sound he made with this guitar, which I'd never heard before.
Yeah.
Sort of different sort of sound altogether.
Well, he also was renowned for doing that sort of, very bizarre walk across the stage, wasn't it? Sort of a hop as he crouched down with his guitar.
Oh, was he?
And did this thing on one leg.
Is that the sort of thing that Keith Richards probably imitated years later?
No, well,
Didn't
I
he?
mean, a few other people tried to do it, but nobody did
Yeah.
it quite like he did it.
No, I wouldn't have thought so. I shouldn't think at 90 you can probably do that now
Yeah.
anymore anyway. But, quite amazing because actually, was that his song, Rock and Roll Music?
Yeah.
And is that the only song he's ever made?
What do you mean?
Well, you name me another Chuck Berry song.
Well, Jolly Be Good.
Oh, that was his, was it?
Jolly Be Good was his.
Okay.
You didn't know that?
And I think the Beatles did
Roll
some
Over
early-
Beethoven
Roll
was
Over
his?
Beethoven, that was right, yeah.
Well, that was his.
Yeah, well, the Beatles did that.
Yeah,
John
I know,
Lennon
but
did
it was
that,
his
yeah.
song.
Yeah, okay, yeah.
So, I mean, he was an iconic figure in the early days of rock and roll.
Yeah, but he hasn't actually done anything for about 50 years. Or more, about 60 years.
No, he
I
hasn't. He's actually been performing. Finally, our friend Donald in Glasgow put him on and
Did
said
he?
that he was a very, very difficult customer. He refused to go on stage before he was paid.
Well, that's not being difficult. That's actually being. That's what we should do.
Well, no, but most people will wait until after the show to get the money.
Yeah, they will. Yeah,
You know,
I know, yeah.
Most
yeah.
people don't demand that they're going to not go on stage unless they handed a bucket load of cash.
So what did Donald have to do?
Well, he
Send
had to pay
somebody
him.
down the bank.
Well, he had to pay him. Yeah, otherwise
Yeah.
it wasn't going on. And then he would have had a theatre full of very angry people.
Yeah, exactly. That's right. Yeah, he certainly would have done. Yeah, that's very interesting. But that's the sort of thing they used to do, wasn't it? You know, cash only and all that kind of stuff.
Yes, indeed.
Anyway, listen, I'll tell you what, talking about all that, because
Yeah.
this is very interesting. Another book I got was called Shock and Awe.
Shock and all.
Yeah, and do you know what it's about?
I've no idea.
It's 650 pages long, so I'm impossible to read it.
Please don't tell me it's about the bombing of Baghdad.
It's not. It's about glam rock and the glam rock era.
Oh, yeah.
That's why I was talking to you about Chuck Berry.
Oh, okay.
Glam rock was a phase of particularly visual and mascara-inflected pop.
Yes.
That dominated Top of the Pops for a couple of years in the early 1970s.
Yes, I remember it well.
Before that, we had chugga-chug blues, rock, and earnest singer-songwriters, and everyone had their hair down to their, middle of their back.
Yeah.
Afterwards, there were 2 or 3 awkward years while we waited for punk to turn up, but briefly and spectacularly, the charts were owned by T-Rex.
Yeah.
Remember then, obviously.
I do.
The Sweet.
Yeah.
Mud.
Yeah.
The man who must not be mentioned, Gary Glitter.
Yeah.
Roxy Music.
Well, I
wouldn't
just
put-
mentioned him then.
well, you know. Yeah,
What about
because-
David Bowie?
Well,
He was the kind of the king of glam rock.
Well,
wasn't
hang on. This is where I argue with the book.
Yeah.
I can see glam rock being T-Rex and Sweet and Mud, but I put Roxy Music, and they then say Wizard,
Yeah.
and David Bowie on a completely different plane.
Yeah.
They were serious musicians.
Well, they were, but also, I
Yeah.
mean, I wouldn't put Mud in as glam
Yeah.
rock, really. I mean, they
Yeah.
wore suits. They didn't really wear a lot of makeup. I mean, glam rock was all about the makeup and the clothes.
but it
wasn't
was also about cheap and ineffective music, wasn't it?
I don't think so, no.
I think it was.
No.
I mean,
there was various different ends of it, right?
Yeah.
So, for example, you would say David Bowie was at the top of it. Mott the Hoople were involved in it,
Yes.
who were pretty good. Roxy Music were pretty good as well.
Yeah.
It was all about kind of,
Yeah.
androgyny and makeup and hair and all that.
I mean, T-Rex with Mark Bolan, he basically made, he made some great songs on the Tyrannosaurus Rex.
Yeah.
He made Ride a White Swan, okay? Excuse me. But then when he became T-Rex, he made one record and then put out 6 or 7 different versions of it.
I wouldn't say that.
You know, Telegram Sam
Yeah.
and what was the Telegram Sam, I'm your main man. And
No, they did quite a few. I mean, they had
and
quite a lot of hits.
Jeepster and those, they all sounded completely exactly the same.
I wouldn't say that. I think you're doing him a disservice.
Excuse me. Yeah, but anyway, the other group mentioned in this is Slade. I thought Slade were great. I loved Slade.
Yeah, my sister was a big Slade fan.
Really?
I never really was that into them, to be honest.
Excuse me.
You feeling all right?
I don't know.
Maybe you've got some medicine in the bag.
I haven't got any medicine in the bag now. Anyway, it goes on to say it was the era of glitter, high boots, and very hummable tunes.
Yes,
you know.
and a lot of. And how about Metal Guru? How about
Yeah.
I don't know, Hot Love, 20th Century Boy, Bang a Gong. I mean, those were all
Well,
pretty
Bang
good
a
songs.
Gong and Metal Guru and Telegram Sam all sounded the same.
No. Well, they sound
all
the same
sound
to you.
completely the same, yeah. So anyway, it goes on to say people will be listening to the songs from that era and finding them as fresh today as they were then. Is that right?
Well, I think you can do. But it was more of a. I mean, that was kind of the period that I watched Top of the Pops, I suppose.
Yes,
because
and me.
It was a massive kind of exciting thing to do. I never actually went though.
Yes.
Funnily enough, a couple of friends of mine did because I used to be filmed in White City, which was just around the corner from my school.
Yes.
And so they actually used to come to the school sometimes
Who?
and say the BBC and say, you're looking for audiences and stuff like that.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah, very interesting.
Because they'd come to local schools and
Yes.
say, if you're old enough and you want to come and be part of the studio audience,
Yes.
please come along.
Is that right?
But I never actually bothered in the end.
Okay. OK. It goes on to say that, as with much rock writing, there's no humour at all in the music from those days.
Who's written this book?
This guy called Simon Reynolds.
OK.
It says Reynolds used to work for Melody Maker. Now, that was a magazine everybody subscribed to, wasn't it?
Well, it was a newspaper, actually, wasn't it, effectively?
Yeah, I suppose it. What was the other one?
There was the NME.
NME, that's right. New Musical Express.
There was Sounds, and there was Melody Maker.
That's right.
That's what I wanted to do. When I was kind of
become a rock
my
writer.
late teens. I wanted to be a rock writer.
Yeah, because you wanted to get in on the scene with all the drugs. Man.
Not at all. No, I just
give us a spliff, man.
I was very much into the music, and I loved the idea of being a journalist. I put two together. But then I met a guy called Charles Shaw Murray.
Oh yes,
who worked for the NME. And it was when Tony Parsons and Judy Burchill and people like that used to work for them.
Yeah,
and it was a very cool job.
By the way, I've never understood a word either of those two have ever written.
I think Parsons is pretty good. Burchill has written some great stuff.
Parsons wrote a column in The Sun after David Bowie died, which was the most ridiculous sort of turn of argument I've ever come across. He said that Bowie, people wrote so much rubbish when Bowie died, and Tony Parsons wrote a column saying, when Bowie died, I'm so sad Bowie died because he inspired me at one of the lowest times of my life.
Right.
And Tony Parsons had talked about his marriage had broken up, or his relationship.
To Judy Burchill.
He didn't say that, but he said a relationship had broken up. And he's left with a child to bring up on his own, in much the same way as David Bowie opted to bring up the child of him and Angie Bowie, who they called Zoe.
Well, what's wrong with that?
Well, what's wrong with that is that he went on about without his inspiration would have done it. But then...
Well, that may be true.
Yeah, but then over the next couple of days, when you read the true story of David Bowie didn't actually bring that child up. He went off and became a rock star, and the child was brought up by all sorts of other people, but not David Bowie, And yet Tony Parsons was crying all these tears.
His son seems to have a pretty good relationship with Bowie towards the end of his life. So
he
certainly didn't seem to have any resentment.
I'm not suggesting he did, but
I think he had much more resentment about his mother.
Oh, he did.
Did he not?
He definitely did. But the idea that David Bowie suddenly dropped everything and halted his music career to
maybe he did for a period.
I don't think he did.
Maybe he did for a period. I quite like Tony Parsons, actually. I mean, he used to write for the Mirror, and I knew him then.
Yeah, we see this also worries me.
What?
People who can write a column in the Mirror, which is rabidly a left-wing newspaper, the left-wing political.
Yeah, but he wasn't a left-wing columnist.
And then
he wasn't a left-wing columnist.
And then go and write for the Sun, which is rabidly a right-wing newspaper.
No, but he's writing the same thing.
That worries me.
He's writing the same thing.
Yeah.
Why should it worry you?
Well, I don't know. Some people, they work for the Mirror Group, then they work for the Mail Group. You know what I mean?
And some people do, but I mean, it was never.
Myself, can that be real?
Well, it can be real because in his case, he wasn't particularly left wing.
Yeah.
He was more of a Blairite.
And as for Julie Burchill,
yeah,
I've never understood a word she's ever written about anything.
Well, I mean, again, some of her stuff is a little bit off the wall, but some of it's very good as well.
Is it?
Matt says this: surely Porky shouldn't be walking around with a pair of scissors in his bag. Would the police not see them as a deadly weapon?
No.
It's very possible.
They're only small, and
they're still scissors.
I need them to trim, items of interest sometimes. Simple as that.
Becky says this: I thought I had junk in my handbag. Mike Parry's handbag contents beat me by a mile. I need a jotter, some sellotape, and a pair of scissors. There we are.
No problem.
Excellent. Now, coming up next, it's Ask Porky.
So
I hope there aren't any questions about the Schengen Agreement, but that's coming next. Ice will cure their ills and improve their lives.
I'm here to help.
Hopefully. Now, we've got lots and lots of questions today, Mr. Parry. So, the faster you can get through them, the better.
Sure.
Now, we've got a couple from Liverpool ahead of our show there on November the 4th.
Yes.
Here's one from Lyle, who says, Dear Porky, what age is it acceptable to tattoo my baby stroke child with an LFC Liver Bird crest?
Never. To be honest, I mean, never ever do it until the child is of an age where he can make up his own mind whether he wants his body to be desecrated by tattoos. Honestly, I wouldn't even dream about it until the child is at least in their teenage years, and even then, I would be appalled if you allow any child, in the early teenage years to massacre its own body form, body image by putting tattoos on it of anything. I've been an Everton fan all my life. I wouldn't dream of putting an Everton logo on my body.
OK, here's one from Darren who says, I've got a weekend of bladderation coming in Sheffield. Any tips on how to enjoy the Steel City, and will I be safe as a southerner?
Of course you'll be safe as a southerner. Sheffield's a marvellous town, but can I tell you, Sheffield itself ain't great. It's an industrial town like a lot of others, but it borders on some great places. Sheffield's not very far from Derbyshire, and in Derbyshire you've got the Peak District, and you've got some great places. Go to Lady Bower Dam.
Well, he's not going to be there. He's going to be in Sheffield.
Well, you get out of Sheffield, honestly, if you want to enjoy it. If you're going for a weekend, that's what he says it is, I would honestly think a bit more broadly about what to do. I don't know of anywhere in Sheffield I could recommend for a great night or even a great lunch, but there's plenty of places on the borders where you can.
OK. TMU says this. If possible, what time in your life would you most like to revisit and relive again?
Well, I never look back. The point is, get on with life, because tomorrow's going to be better than today. That has to be your ambition, and that's what you do. However, I have to say, there was a carefree period when I was a young reporter working for the Birmingham Mail in the Midlands when everything was perfect. You know, I had my own first flat, my own first car, a decent wage, and you weren't literally battered to death every minute of every day by being in touch with the office through mobile phones and laptops and everything else. It was a glorious period.
OK. Phil says this. If we were to fly around the world vertically, why would we not be upside down when we reach the South Pole?
I'm sorry, I can't even work that out in the brief period we've got. We all know the world is round, and we all know that you're connected to the confines of the Earth by gravity, and you just use gravity to the benefit of human beings.
I think he's thinking that if it was at sort of a plane was almost on the outside of the globe,
yes,
and you fly like that,
yes,
that you would end up upside down. But it doesn't really work like that.
No, of course it doesn't, because the world's not upside down. The world's circular, and I have flown on the edge of the Earth's gravity when I flew in a Concorde, and it's a blue glow that you see because you're at 60,000 feet.
You didn't start floating?
No, believe me, the Earth is always below you and you're not upside down.
OK. John says this. Dear Porky, I'm supposed to be training with Nigel Benn on Saturday. I haven't done any exercise in 2 years apart from the horizontal refreshment. How can I get out of it without losing face?
Well, you can't get out of it. You should get into it. You should be absolutely honest and say to Nigel Benn, if this is a really true story, I'm terribly out of condition, I'm terribly unfit. In fact, you need to tell him that, because at the power at which a guy like Nigel Benn trains, if you suddenly started trying to match him to any degree whatsoever, you will very, very seriously hurt yourself.
Here's one from Jerry, who says, John Cleese and Eric Idle are coming to Phoenix, Arizona in November. I used to be a fan of Monty Python and Fawlty Towers. Do you think it would be worth going, or should I save my money for some bladderation?
Save your money for bladderation. John Cleese has become a chronic old bore who whinges and moans about everything. He has dual standards, one for behaviour that he thinks other people should employ, and one for behaviour he thinks he should employ himself. I lost interest in John Cleese a long time ago. Don't bother wasting your money.
OK. How about this one from Becky? This is also about our show in Liverpool. She says she's coming to the show in Liverpool, but she's doing a course on Saturday in the morning. Yes. Is it acceptable to engage in no bladderisation?
Not really. Why don't you engage in moderation in bladderation, which is the theme of what the two mics do? I mean, for instance, when we went to Whitley Bay, we indulged in moderation bladderation, but got up the next day and got out of the hotel we were in at 6 a.m. We're going to have to do the same thing in Liverpool, because we're working back in Talksport Towers on the Saturday. You can do it. It can work. OK. How about this one from Rob, who says, what route would you suggest I take on Saturday to get to the Emirates from Frome? Frome is in Somerset,
It
isn't
is, yeah.
And if you're coming up to town, to the Emirates, get the M4 motorway, obviously, up into London, and then it's quite simple. You can either go on the M25 right round to the A41, which will take you then south into London, almost to the Emirates, actually. In fact, I think A41 runs parallel to it. Or keep going past the M25 to the North Circular and get yourself around, starting at Wembley and working round to the Emirates, which is not difficult. I'd go the M25 route, frankly. OK. Now, this one's a little bit long, but it's from a Lackey, who's a Royal Mail trucker. OK. He says, I record the podcast and listen to it when I'm driving my lorry or when I walk my dog. But my dog was sadly put to sleep in August. The problem now is I always listen to it whilst on the road on my return journey from Northampton back to Wolverhampton at midnight. The trip lasts roughly 1 hour 20 minutes at 56 miles an hour. As the podcast is usually 2 hours 20, I'm always playing catch-up. I can't listen to it on the way there as I'm listening to the debates and football on Talk Sport. Porky, how can I resolve this? You can resolve it by stopping and listening to whatever you're listening to before you listen to us, because if I didn't say to you that I think what we actually broadcast is of the very highest quality, then MG and I shouldn't be in this studio serving our millions of listeners. It is of the highest quality, and quite frankly, a lot of debate and discussion and talk that you hear in the world on all sorts of media outlets is often repeated and can sound a little bit the same. We are unique. I would listen to us and nothing else.
Phil says this. My partner is in complete denial over her weight. Is the softly approach preferred, or does it call for tough love?
No, it's got to be tough love. I've had this experience myself. I once had a girlfriend who introduced me to her sister, who was a hefty young lady.
Well, you left her then, didn't you?
I did, yeah, because I honestly feared it was going to go that way. And there were signs that it was starting to go that way. And I had to be perfectly honest and said, I will not find you as attractive if you put 2 or 3 stone on. And you have to be absolutely honest about that. You can't beat about the bush. You have to be pragmatic and honest.
OK. James says this. Is giving the FA Cup winners a Champions League place the only real way to revive the competition?
It might do, but it's not a good idea. I just don't think you can do it. I mean, the point is, over the past few years, we've had teams like Portsmouth winning the FA Cup, very well deserved. We've had teams like Cardiff in the final, again, very well deserved. But the point of the story is that the Champions League should be the teams that prove themselves to be the best over the 38, 40, 42 games, whichever they play in that league. And I honestly don't think the winner of a knockout cup competition would merit entry to it.
Jonathan says this. With you being taken into the Graham family bosom more and more, joining them in Mallorca, invited to Sussex, is your jealousy for old MG getting worse, or do you envy him less as you now see behind the throne, so to speak?
Well, no, I don't have any jealousy or envy of MG. We've got to remember our lives have been parallel for a long time, and we have mostly achieved in life what the other has achieved. And I'm sure MG feels the other way. I feel very happy for MG's achievements in life and for what he's got, and I'm very happy to share the the warmth and camaraderie of his family.
That's very kind of you to say.
No problem.
Now, how about this one from TMU again? Which animal would you say is most comparable with yourself, and why?
I would say the lion, because it's king of the jungle. And unless you think you're king of your own environment, then you shouldn't really be around.
One about Everton from John on Facebook. With it being 21 years since Everton last won a trophy, does Comrade Porkovich think you'll ever see them win another?
Well, I'm sure it will. I mean, I'm very hopeful that Mr. Koeman is, going to revive Everton's title-winning, trophy-winning, maybe trophy-winning more than title-winning ways. And I think it'll come sooner rather than later. I am, in fact, very confident about the immediate future.
OK. Phil says this. Porky, will you ever do an autobiography?
Well, funny you should say that, actually, because without giving any secrets away, MG and I are talking to publishers all the time. And it's a question of trying to strike the right deal, I don't mean financially, I mean the right balance of what needs to be written and wants to be written and that which is marketable. But I won't actually write a life story of my own until I've decided I'm not going to work anymore. Until then, it's an ongoing story.
Sure. Neil says this. In a last-ditch bid to get fit, I joined boxing training last night. It's hard and I hurt bad. Shall I quit and stay fat?
I don't know. I've never been boxing training as such. I mean, obviously, I was Butlins Filey boxing champion,
of course,
in the early 60s. But the training bit, I've always thought, to me, looks rather boring. You know, punching a bag, doing weights, skipping on a rope, sparring with another guy. It doesn't look that interesting to me. So, to you, I would say, if you find you get a lot out of it, do it, and you only get a lot out of it if you put a lot into it. So it's got to be your self-disciplinary code.
So Adlib's got one which is possibly slightly more hypothetical. Porky, if you were a spy, which world intelligence service would you want to work for? The CIA, the SVR, Mossad, Pakistani ISI, Indian RAW, German BDN, French DSG, Chinese SSA, Iranian Quds Force or MI6, and why?
Well, I don't even want to work for MI6 because I'm thoroughly British and I believe in trying to do my best to protect my country from those who would try to affect our way of life. So there's not a question of who I'd work for. If I was a James Bond character and thought I could change the world for the better, it would be MI6.
OK. Finally, from Peter. Porky, have you ever seen the video of Chuck Berry performing with John Lennon and Yoko? There's a great look on Chuck Berry's face when Yoko starts wailing.
No, I haven't actually, and thank you for making me aware of that. I'll go and seek it out and have a look. But, Yoko Ono has really provoked people over the years, both positively and negatively. The point is, John Lennon dedicated his life to her in the later years of his life, and you have to accept that. And I don't believe that she did break up the Beatles. I believe, in effect, she held them together for a year or two longer, because I think John definitely did want to get out. He really did want to get out. And I think she said, no, the Beatles are worth preserving.
Pop World Sheffield has tweeted at the two mics and says, we are the perfect night out in Sheffield for future reference.
Okay.
And they've supplied a phone number and they've supplied a website as well.
What's that, a nightclub?
Unique cocktails and the best music from the 90s until now.
Excellent.
And apparently they're having something called Poptoberfest going on.
What are they called?
Pop World Sheffield.
Pop World Sheffield.
Yeah.
Well done for getting in touch, and very happy to promote your wares.
They must have been listening. Maybe we'll have to go and do a show in Sheffield one of
Indeed,
these days.
yeah.
This is Talk Sport. That was Ask Porky.
Hey, hey, hey. Hey, hey, hey. Life's the same as it always will be. Hey, hey, hey. Easy picking foxes from a tree. Hey, hey, hey. But I can't get no satisfaction. All I want is easy action. Hey, hey, hey.
That's one from the archives. Remember that?
Yeah, it's T-Rex.
Solid Gold Easy Action.
Solid Gold Easy Action.
but
It
it's
sounded
you
like a
shouting
lot
in
of
the
his other
background.
songs.
Yeah, but that was one of the few singles of T-Rex that I actually bought, I think.
Really?
And I might even still have it knocking around somewhere.
Yeah.
Now, here's the thing for you.
Yeah.
Did you know that you're always banging on about the Chester Grosvenor Hotel?
Yes.
Did you know that their brasserie manager, whose name is Debbie,
Yes.
I don't know whether you know her by any other name,
Yes.
has scooped an award as
Well,
Manager of the Year.
funnily enough-
Have you ever been to La Brasserie at the Chester Grosvenor?
I'm sure I have been, yeah, I'm sure I have
She
been.
looks
And-
right up your street, actually, Debbie. She's
Why is
rather
that?
nice. She's sort of
do you mean?
a businesswoman,
Right up
blonde,
my street.
blonde hair,
Yeah.
very well coiffed.
Very nice lady.
Yeah.
And I'm delighted for their success. It's a brilliant hotel in a brilliant town,
Mm-hmm.
and they demand and maintain very high standards. And
Did you go there when you were in Chester recently?
I
you
didn't.
didn't
I
stay
didn't
there,
on my
did you?
last visit. No, I didn't on my last visit because I needed to be near the station.
Yeah.
Because I was moving about and I wanted to be able to have my luggage in the Queen's Hotel near the station because I was nipping on and off the train going to places, you know. And that was the only reason why I didn't want to be sort of because the Grosvenor's probably a mile away from the station.
Oh, is it? Yeah.
But I may be visiting Chester next week actually because I have things I have to do.
Yes.
And if so, I may well stay at the Grosvenor for a
Yeah.
night because I haven't stayed there for a long time.
Well, you must look up Debbie, who's
I must look
and you
up
must
Debbie.
when you see her, because this is
Yes.
a great way to kind of get better treatment. There.
Yes, yeah.
You can go, oh, congratulations on winning your
yeah,
most
congratulations on
recent
your award, Debbie. Yeah, yeah. What's she in charge of? La Brasserie.
Well, the Brasserie restaurant,
Yeah,
I think.
When we were youngsters, so to speak, because we went to the King's School Chester and we didn't go to like a local comprehensive or even the grammar school, because
Yeah.
it was a grammar school in those days, we decided that our drinking bolt hole on a night out
Yeah.
would be the cellar bar at the Grosvenor.
Oh, right.
Yes.
And was it a sort of massively expensive restaurant in those days, or not really?
It was more expensive than pubs.
Right.
That's why not a lot of people went there. But we decided that we were a superior race.
Yes.
So we'd go down in the...
Your snobbery was born early.
Yeah, I think so, yeah. Well, I think we had a feeling of kind of superiority, you know.
Uh-huh.
So we'd go to the Grosvenor, and then there was a set of stairs down to the cellar bar, which wasn't there last time I went, by the way.
Okay.
So I think it's been converted into something else
Yeah.
now, you know. But it was a little network of tunnels, and it was very, you know, sort of chic.
All right.
for want of
I was
a
going
better
to say,
word.
did you have to dress up to get in there?
Well, they wouldn't let you in without a jacket on,
Right.
for instance, and
Right.
that kind of stuff, you know. And you went down there, and I remember we used to sit in these little alcoves, you know, and then if you had a lady with you, it was
Yeah.
very discreet and all
Well,
this
it's
kind
funny,
of
isn't it?
stuff.
I
you
mean,
know?
I was similar because when I was working in Louis in Hampstead,
Right.
and I was about 15 or 16, I
Yes.
started going out with girls and stuff like
Yeah.
that. Because we delivered stuff to all the restaurants and stuff, they
Yes.
all knew us, right?
Right.
But I looked very young. And when I was 16, I only looked about sort of 12 or something,
Right.
14.
Yeah.
And I used to take girls up to Jack Straw's Castle,
Yeah.
to the top bar,
Yeah, right.
which was a cocktail bar.
Right.
And I would drink these ridiculous cocktails, the like of which I'd never really heard of.
No, exactly.
But one of the reasons I went there was because the guy knew me from my work in the bakery.
Sure,
And he
so
was
it
quite
was
happy to
okay.
serve me.
Yeah, sure,
And I mean,
yeah.
never asked me if I was 18.
No, no.
You know, and it
Well,
was-
you never got asked that in those days.
Well, I occasionally did because I
never
looked so
did.
young.
I started using pubs in Chester at 15.
Yeah.
And I remember the first time I had 2 pints of lager and lime rather than 1. I mean, I almost had to be carried home. You know what I mean? No, seriously.
Right.
It was, you know, sort of situation. But from the age of 15 and a half or 16, I had such total confidence. I'd have gone into in fact, I came down to London once to see my sister who'd started at university in
Oh, yeah.
London. And so I'm 2 years younger than her, so I must have been 16.
Yeah.
And I had no qualms about walking into pubs in London and ordering booze. I've been doing it for so long. Wasn't a problem.
No.
It was never a problem in those days. Now, these days, I believe that, landlords are very conscious of it and they can lose their licence and all that kind of
Well,
stuff.
because they then get inspected upon by
but
the
in
people
those,
that
in
would
those
shut them down.
days, basically, everybody started drinking between 15 and 16 and were regular pub users and drinkers at 17.
Yeah.
Nobody ever asked for identity because, to be honest, we didn't have identity in those days.
No, you didn't.
You didn't have a driving licence till you were, even a provisional, till you were 17.
Yeah.
So how are you
Well,
supposed
you still
to...
don't now.
No, exactly. But these days, aren't you asked... There's signs all over the place saying no identity, no drink and
Yeah.
all that. What sort of identity
And a
are
lot of
youngsters
places
supposed
say,
to present?
and a lot of people say if you don't look 21, they won't sell you anything.
Yeah,
either.
that's right, yeah. Well, I mean, now people get asked how old they are when they're buying wine in supermarkets. It's gone completely the other way.
Yeah.
This country's gone to the dogs in many ways. No, it has.
It hasn't really.
It has.
It's just changed a lot over time.
No, it hasn't. It's gone to the dogs, and some of the persuasions now of certain bodies of people. I think the police constables and sergeants, even maybe inspectors on the ground, are still really good, dedicated, hard-working officers who want to keep society in shape. But the problem with policemen at the very, very top of the police force now, they are either professional politicians or they're professional social workers.
Yeah.
And they don't actually have the well-being of the general public as their main
Well, that's
priority.
the problem, because politics now runs through every
Of course it
single
does.
aspect of public service.
Of course it does.
And you can't make a decision
No.
without thinking about the political ramifications.
I mean, the brilliance of Tony Blair and the New Labour project was they infiltrated every area of life. And the damning of David Cameron, who came in as a Conservative after 13 years of Labour, was that he couldn't do anything about it to reverse the trend.
Yeah.
And so it is still very much now, we have a country now which is dominated by socialist principles imbued into every state department and every national and public office in this country.
Yeah,
and we
well-
all now take it for granted.
Well, we could argue about that for a long time. We
Yeah.
haven't got a lot of time to do
Yeah.
it. I would rather instead tell you about a man by the name of Harry Shearer, who
Yes.
you might have heard of. He was in This Is Spinal Tap. Remember that film?
Well, I've never seen it.
Have you
but
never seen it?
No, but it's a legendary rock and roll film.
It is a
isn't
legendary
it?
rock and roll film, and very funny, actually.
Right.
And it was all put together many, many years ago.
Have you seen it?
I have seen it, yeah.
You
I've
think
seen
it was funny?
Well, it was a sort of cult thing in the 80s,
yeah,
and
yeah.
I didn't see it when it first came out,
No.
but I have seen it since. And it is very funny. I mean, it's basically like about any rock band that you could mention.
Yes.
With people in it who are not particularly bright.
Yes.
But who have got a kind of incredible ability to go and just play massive stadiums,
Yeah, sure.
and then they try and make a comeback. I mean, one of the funniest things happens where they decide they have to have a sort of replica of Stonehenge on the stage,
Right.
And they create this big drama around, how it's going to be created, and there's going to be dry ice, and they're going to be, a bit like sort of a band like, I don't know, a bit of sort of cut-rate Led Zeppelin or
Right.
Black Sabbath or something.
Yeah, sure.
And when they commission this Stonehenge sculpture, it's meant to be the size of the real Stonehenge.
Yeah.
But unfortunately...
What,
when
on a stage?
On a stage, yeah. Well, because Stonehenge isn't actually that big when you go there.
Well, it's quite wide, though.
Well, I don't mean the whole thing. It's just
Right, I
like
see.
one,
I see.
two
One bit of
pillars and one
Stonehenge.
bit.
Yeah, I see. Yeah.
But when they finally lower it onto the stage, which is meant to be the big dramatic moment,
Yeah.
it's actually only about 2 feet high.
Right.
Because the guy's got the size wrong. And stuff like that happens.
Yeah, I see, yeah.
And the drummer spontaneity combusts, and it's very funny. But this guy, who played one of the band members, Harry Shearer, is suing the people who made it, saying that basically he co-wrote the film and the soundtrack.
Right.
He starred as the bassist Derek Smalls.
Okay.
And he now wants $125 million
Is that all?
in compensatory and punitive damages.
Right.
Because he says all he was ever paid for the royalties of the film was $90.
$90,
Right.
yeah.
And
well,
so-
there's a bit of difference between 90 and 125 million, yeah.
Well, there is. Maybe you'll take the view that somewhere in between would be good. But it's a bit like we were talking the other day. There's a lot more of these suits coming up. I mean, we were talking about Bob Geldof, weren't we?
That's right.
Yeah, how this guy,
The other guy-
Fingers,
yeah,
that
that's
nobody's
right.
ever heard of,
Fingers,
says
yeah.
that he co-wrote I Don't Like Mondays.
I wrote this, man.
And we had the Led Zeppelin one. So there's obviously a lot of this going on.
Do you know Slade also made a film about a spoof rock group?
Oh, did they?
Do you remember that?
No.
Yeah, definitely. Noddy Holder was the lead actor. and-
Really?
And he was very, very good. Noddy Holder demonstrated he could act as well as play songs. But, of course, that is another tragedy about royalties. The Slade story is incredible because Noddy Holder and old Jim, the violin player,
Yeah.
whatever his name was.
Jim, was it Jim... It was a short second name, wasn't
Yeah,
it?
well, I can't remember, but they wrote Merry
Jim
Christmas.
Lee, that's right.
Jim Lee, that's right. They wrote Merry Christmas, apparently.
Yeah.
And they make like a million or a couple of million every Christmas.
They do.
Because they either re-release it or, more usually, some huge industrial organisation buys the rights to it for Christmas or something like that. And
Okay.
But the other guys...
Well, it's almost constantly being played as well.
Yeah, it is.
Every time,
Yeah,
every time that they play music in
Yeah.
shops. Remember, there was a
That's
big
right.
campaign by the Performing Rights Society, I think it was.
Yes.
Who said, well, if you're going to play music in shops, you have to pay the artist.
Yes, that's
you can't
right.
just play it for nothing.
That's right. And the other two guys, the super yob, whatever his name was, Dave Hill.
Dave Hill, yeah.
And the drummer, the guy...
Yes.
Don.
Yes, I remember Don Lee or
somebody.
something like that.
Did he get... He was in a car
He was in a
crash or
bad car
something.
crash,
something
yeah.
like that. Apparently, they don't get any royalty rights whatsoever, so every...
Well, if they didn't write it, that's fair enough, isn't it?
Well, they can't accept that. They certainly, I've read from, is it Dave Hill?
Yeah.
Dave Hill, the super yob,
Yeah.
the guy who used to wear the huge
He was the
glitzer
bass
boots.
player, wasn't he?
He was a guitar player. I don't know
Yeah.
if he played the bass.
Yeah.
But anyway, the point of the story is that he says that, OK, so Noddy Holder and Jim Lee wrote them, but we sold them. That's
Yeah.
what he says. He says it was my particular personality as,
Yeah, but you see, you
as
can
the
never-
major member of the group that
Well, he
sold the
would,
records.
yeah, but he would say that, wouldn't he?
Yeah,
I
of
mean,
course
it's
he
like
would,
when Keith Moon died and who hired Kenny Jones to come in as their drummer
Yes.
on the next album and
Yeah.
on the next tour and all that. They never gave him a quarter share of the group.
No.
They just paid him a salary.
Well, that's-
and he used to, I mean, famously, because I used to know them a bit then, he used to turn up and he never knew what was going on.
No.
Because they'd have band meetings,
Yeah.
which he didn't go to.
Right, he just came in as a session
And he would
drummer,
literally
so to
just
speak.
turn up to play the drums
Right.
on any given day,
Yeah.
whether they were on live somewhere, Sheffield one night, Stafford,
Sure.
Bingley Hall the next night, Hammersmith Odeon the next
Yeah.
night, and he would just turn up and go, "Yeah, I'll just turn up and they pay me."
Yeah.
He
But-
never had any piece of it until a lot later.
But at some stage, if he was in a recording studio and they made a new record,
Yeah.
he would have to get a percentage of the royalties for that.
Not necessarily.
Well,
Not if he didn't write anything.
Well, the performing rights, I thought. I mean, it's very interesting what you say because I don't know what the situation is now or what it was 25 years on and all that. But when the guy from the Faces,
Yeah.
Ronnie Wood,
Yeah,
is it Ronnie Wood?
it was Ronnie Wood, joined the Rolling Stones.
Joined the Stones.
Yeah.
Again for the first few years. I don't know. He was just a session musician.
He was indeed. We got to stop. Let's talk sport.
If you love the Two Mics podcast, you'll love the live show. Weekday overnights from 1am on DAB Digital Radio and 1089 and 1053 AM and via the TalkSport app. TalkSport.
This man is the shirt lifter.
The shirt lifter, he is indeed.
And we are going to track down the shirt lifter and get him because we have video evidence now of the thievery
Yes.
of the shirt lifter. And I can say this to you, punk. We know